and welcome back to the Tea and Soju podcast, Drama Trio edition, where three friends chat Asian dramas and let you into that chatter. I'm your host, Liliana.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Caitlin.
And in today's episode, we are doing a drama watching habits episode. So we'll get into that in just a minute. But before, some housekeeping. If you like the podcast, please like, share, and subscribe on the platform you listen to. That really helps the podcast reach other listeners. For more content, check out Patreon, where you can find behind the scenes, first impressions, movie reviews, and more. Finally, if you would like to chat to me or find a community, check out Discord, Instagram, and other socials. All of the links for those will be in the episode notes. So, today's episode was actually suggested to us by a listener over on Discord, and her name is Lily Jane. So, thank you very much for the idea. And she said, perhaps you guys should do a podcast talking about drama watching habits, shows that you dropped, binged, rewatched, or will keep rewatching, or still watching even though you know it is bad. And why is that? Why do we like watching rubbish so sometimes? Those topics might be fun to talk about. So I actually saw this message over on Discord, and I print screened it and sent it to our Instagram chat. And the three of us immediately sort of said, that's going to be a fun episode.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So that's where we're going to be heading this week. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to think about, how our habits have changed over our watching period. And I'm sure Jess will love the dropped categories and whatnot, because you
Why do you think wait. Why do you think I'm gonna love the dropped category? Me in particular.
Because I think you adore trash talking, so I reckon
if there's one thing about me, I'm gonna trash a show that I love, and I'm gonna trash a show 2 times as much if I hate it.
But you do it in such a way that is very entertaining to listen to. So that's why I think you do, because you do it. You can hear that you enjoy doing it. So yeah. So I mean that in a good way. I absolutely mean that in a good way, though, not in a bad way at all.
I was like, wait, why am I already catching strays?
No, you're fine.
But yeah, I love drama and I love talking shit. So let's go.
So yeah, that works out quite well. But so we just got some questions down. I feel like this is going to be a very informal kind of chaotic episode, because there's not really rhyme or reason to it. But so some stuff I put down was, what were our drama watching habits before Asian dramas? Who wants to go first? Who's going first today? I don't mind. Shall I go first?
I'll go first. I can go first. Okay. That's fine. The silence killed me. Okay. So I took this to mean 2 different things. Like, what was I watching before Asian dramas, and how did I transition to watching Asian dramas, and how did the habit, how was it before, and how did the habits change?
Yeah.
That's how I took it to mean.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys
along those lines. Yeah.
Okay. So before Asian dramas, I would watch weekly cable television shows a lot with my family. We would watch a lot of stuff together, like Walking Dead on Sunday nights, Once Upon a Time on ABC Family.
I remember that one.
Yeah. I used to watch Smallville with my sister religiously.
I love Smallville.
Or One Tree Hill.
So good looking.
No, I never got into One Tree Hill, but
I didn't watch One Tree Hill until college. But
okay.
One Tree Hill. But yeah, Smallville was good.
Vividly remember watching Vampire Diaries, and especially the pilot episode of Vampire Diaries. I watched Lost with my family as well, but we didn't watch it as it was airing. We watched it kind of around the last season, right when the last season was going to air. on television. But how did we catch up when there was no Netflix streaming? I'll tell you, we had Netflix mail the seasons to us in the mail. That's how Netflix started, was as they would mail you DVDs in the mail. That's redundant. Mail you DVDs in the mail, whatever. So we'd go online and we'd have a Netflix list of movies and shows. And we'd say, I want the next few episodes of Lost. And it would come in like several DVDs all at once. And we'd binge those, send them back, get the next few. And that's how we watched Lost together as a family. We were just blasting through DVDs of all of the seasons.
Oh my God.
It was fantastic. Yeah, no, it was great. I watched Glee in college.
Oh, I liked Glee. I watched Glee. Yeah,
I remember watching the first episode of Glee in college, the pilot episodes. What a time. So anyway, and the Netflix thing of having that list and getting movies in the mail and television shows in the mail, that was how we lived for a long time. And it wasn't until I got like a first generation Roku for my tiny television in my room, that's when I could go. That was around the time that streaming happened. And that's when I could go on Netflix and watch shows and movies that I wanted to watch without having to like be with my family or anything. So once that version of Netflix materialized, I could watch my own shows and I became a binger. So I said this on my AMAM episode on Tebak, but I watched a lot of stuff illegally at the time.
Me too. Oh, me too.
Time in my life. A ton of things actually were just watched illegally. So the pipeline of that summer that I started watching K-dramas, which was I watched True Blood and I watched it illegally, and I did it so fast. I inhaled the episodes like in a dark room. I call this time in my life a fever dream because I don't remember much about it, but it was fantastic. And then before that was before I started streaming the BBC Robin Hood show on Netflix, then a French movie called Heartbreaker, then A Moment to Remember, the Korean movie, and then finally I got to my first K-drama, Lie to Me. So yeah, but at this time I was like consuming so much content and fast, so that was my MO, is to binge, and that hasn't changed.
When I started, when I was younger, I used to be very much a books over TV person. So I would stay up like the whole night. Weekends, I would just stay up until 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, just reading through the whole night. And I would binge books like there was no tomorrow. That was like, I read so fast even back then. I read much slower now. It's ridiculous. I don't know where my speed has gone, but then I sort of moved into like TV, but it wasn't until I was living on my own where I kind of like watched a heck of a lot more TV. And I would watch things like Smallville, and I loved Smallville so much.
Listen to me. There has to be that Venn diagram on this has to be a lot of crossover between Smallville girlies and K-drama girlies. I'm convinced.
So I used to watch like Smallville. Arrow was another show that I was like hooked on.
Yo, that CW pipeline.
Guys, you do not understand. In Portugal, we could not, because I was living back in Portugal at this point, we couldn't access your shows in America. Like, it was incredibly hard. They were like 2 seasons before. So when I tell you, there's me with like my laptop watching a live stream like 5 hours ahead of the Americans, like so I could watch this show while it was airing in America. This is like dedication to this show. That's kind of like what I would be doing. So, you know, shows like that I used to love. And then I would love anything that was like book adaptations. So, you know, the Mortal Instruments, that sort of thing.
You bitch, you touched a nerve. You touched a nerve.
I
Those
watched
books had me in a freaking chokehold.
Chokehold. Oh my god. I
Chokehold.
adore those books.
Cassandra Clare. Yeah, I bought her
so
house
good.
for her because
she's
like
so damn good. She's so damn good. I might need to go and listen, like try and track down the audiobooks for it and try and like re-listen to it now in my 30s and see what I think about it.
That whole like will they, won't they, because they could be brother and sister.
Whoa,
threat.
it was like mind blowing. I binged those books
with the
so
sexual
fast.
tension between those two.
So much. So good. She's just so good. So that was like the kind of stuff that I was watching. I think I would always stay towards the fantasy. I used to love other things like Castle. Did either of you watch Castle?
I never watched Castle.
So good.
You watched it. Oh, perfect.
I have like all the DVDs of Castle.
I really liked it.
Shut up.
Funnily enough, when I was watching like American shows, I would go either fantasy or crime. Like I wouldn't really watch romance that much. So it would be, Arrow, Smallville, that sort of thing. And then like Castle, Bones. I loved Bones.
We were always eating during Bones.
Why?
we always, I'll get to what my watching stuff was, but like we were constantly eating dinner while we were watching Bones.
Why would you do
that? So yeah, that's the kind of stuff I would watch. And then like I watched really like smaller budget things that never got renewed, and that's why I started to get frustrated, because like it would take forever and then they would end on a cliffhanger and it would cancel it. There was one show and it's called The Legend of Something. Oh my god, I'm not gonna remember it, but it's like about Faye and whatnot on screen. It was really good. It was really good, but it bloody got cancelled, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. I think it's called The Legend of the Keeper or something along those lines.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you remember that show?
Oh yeah,
I
watched. I binged that. I didn't binge that until I like found it on Hulu, but yeah, that was years later.
That's fantastic. The way Caitlin lit up. The way you lit up, Caitlin.
Freaking loved that show, like adored it, and then like it just kind of like finished, and so I started getting really frustrated. Not only was it, they would just cancel it.
They would just cancel the show. I had something similar happen. Listen to me. I'm scarred for life. This is a big trauma point for me. Is I was watching Kyle XY.
Oh my god, I love that show.
Oh my god. I was watching Kyle XY. And listen, I was down bad for this guy too. Down bad with his like dark hair and the blue eyes and like the whole like deer in headlights thing, because he had he was a clone and all this stuff. So they end the season with the cliffhanger of like, I'm your brother. And I was like, what? Like we were thrown. And then they cancel the show. I'm so frustrated. Me and my sister were like beside ourselves. And we just recently got rid of our DVDs of the Kyle XY show because we had it on DVD. And I've never gotten over it. So what you're saying now about like you get a show and like they just cancel it.
Yeah.
Midstream, like mid-sentence basically, because they'll end on a cliffhanger and then you never get the conclusion. You never get what happens next. That is a big, big deal.
Yeah. So yeah, I started getting really, really frustrated because not only when I was living back in Portugal, it was harder to get a hold of these episodes because a lot of these series, they wouldn't air on like our channels. You had a couple of channels, like you had like Fox Crime and that sort of thing, where they would air a lot of the like American shows. So that's where I would watch. But if not, good old torrents. I would download like torrents and whatnot back in the day. And then like I started getting really just annoyed basically because like stories would go on forever and they would cancel it and whatnot. My partner was like, oh, you should try anime, because he's a pretty like huge anime fan. He's watched so much of it. So I think I can't even remember. I think the first anime that I tried was Bleach. And then I fell in love with kind of like anime and went down that route. And by that time, Netflix was what it is now. So I then kind of went into Ashes of Love, binged the whole thing in 3 days.
The rest is history. Yes.
And the rest is history. And now it's like, can you even, what was the last Western show you've watched? Maxton Hall. And that was the first thing I watched in years that isn't, Asian. In the aspect. I mean, Shogun isn't really Asian technically, but
yeah,
it's arguably down that route. So yeah, that was my my watching habits before. I've always been like a fantasy
same
girly.
Same. I've always been a fantasy girly.
Through and through.
I love how you said that you read books because I was an avid reader as well. I used to stay up late and stuff. I was always a night owl. I am not a morning person. So I've literally always done all-nighters in particular to read. And
just to read.
I was a voracious reader growing up. And that YA fic, girl, that was my bag. Like
that
YA.
Was me. Yeah.
Oh my God. YA fiction, young adult fiction, as well as like a healthy diet of classics as well. So instead of staying up to read, now I stay up to watch dramas.
That is me.
Natural transition.
Like I said, although I will say, like we were discussing earlier, I am trying to change that a little bit because, people need to sleep. I just want to
same.
So I've swapped, and it's only like an hour before I go to bed. And this, I swear to God, I try, but it does not hold because if I get excited about a drama, I'm like, I'll just watch another episode and then I won't read.
Yeah.
But I've started reading before bed. But nowadays, I'm really lucky. I say this all the time. I was looking and I've consumed 114 books this year alone.
Whoa.
Now, mind you, most of those are audiobooks because I'm super, super lucky and I get to listen. I get to have my headphones in while I'm at work. And I just get to I work 10 hours a day. Like I can literally, and I don't listen on one speed. I listen on 2 times speed at the very least. So I can get through 2 books a day easily if they're shorter books. So yeah, I'm in the middle of a great fantasy stream right now on at work. So I get through a lot of books now, but it's all mainly because it's audiobooks, not necessarily because then at home I watch TV. So that's What about you, Caitlin?
Caitlin, please enlighten us.
So I was not allowed to watch TV as a kid, so I was only able to do like 2 hours a day, if that. And so a lot of times it would be during dinner with my family, and we were heavy with the DVR. So most of it wasn't like on cable TV. It was like DVR recorded stuff.
Yeah.
And most of that was like crime shows. And so we were heavy like Bones,
CSI, girl. I was a CSI Vegas family. We were a CSI Vegas fan.
CSI. Was it the Los Angeles one that had like Horatio and stuff?
No, that was Florida. That was Miami.
Miami. That's the one I really, really liked. Yeah. That was the one I really.
I was Vegas all the way. That was my favorite. But
we did all. I
mean, we did New York. We did Miami. We did Vegas.
Nice.
Anyway, NCIS. We did like every crime show you could possibly think of, and we watched all of them. And then my parents would record Sopranos, and they'd watch it after we went to bed because we were not allowed to watch that type of show.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
But we had access to like BBC and HBO with all the cable networks. So I would also be watching a ton of British television. So I'm like an avid Doctor Who fan. And I've seen like every Jane Austen adaptation you could possibly think of.
And
I've seen like all of like the crime BBC stuff. Like my dad used to joke that I should have been born in Britain because I watched so much BBC stuff growing up. Like it was crazy. And then to get
what's your
dramas,
I know I'm gonna interrupt your flow, but like what's your preferred Pride and Prejudice adaptation?
Oh, Colin Firth, absolutely.
Oh my god, no. That says it all.
Colin Firth, absolutely. Like, no joke.
I will say I used to watch Doctor Who and then they got rid, but I used to love Doctor Who when it was David Tennant and Billie Piper. And then after that, it kind of lost its shine a little bit for me. They were my favorite Doctor
David
Who
Tennant
pairing.
is a really good doctor.
Yeah, he was a really good doctor. And then it kind of lost.
I've seen all of them.
Wow,
like that is a lot of Doctor
like the black and white 50s.
Jeez, no,
I've seen all the doctors
back.
except for the last two. I haven't seen the Capaldi, and three technically, because they just switched to the black guy. But
again,
I haven't seen anything at like Capaldi to after. But I watched everything up to Matt Smith.
Were you a Sherlock Holmes?
Oh fan? Yeah, absolutely. I've seen every adaptation of Sherlock Holmes.
For me, the best one is the one with Benedict Cumberbatch, and I will die on that hill.
I loved it, but his first name's Brett. It was from the 90s or maybe 80s. By far my favorite.
Oh, I didn't watch that far back. I didn't.
Oh yeah, no, he was a perfect Sherlock Holmes. I also was like an avid reader as well growing up, huge fantasy, but I also was a Sherlock Holmes fanatic. And which is why I try to my mom gave me all of her old Sherlock Holmes stuff. I have all her old Jane Austen stuff. Like I was an avid classics reader, but I also was an avid crime reader as well as fantasy. So like I've read Harry Potter 20,000 times.
Yeah, I've read Harry Potter.
Lord of the Rings 20,000 times.
Yeah.
Now you're speaking Jess's language.
The Anita Blake series is one of my favorite Vampire Slayer series of all time, but it has a lot of sexy moments, sex time moments.
Okay, what's the name of that so I can take it down?
The main character, her name is Anita Blake, and she's a vampire hunter. But she, through the series, she basically has relations with practically every creature in her universe as possible.
Oh my God.
And has to and is married to the vampire king, but also has to have relations with the werewolf king. And then becomes like the were-leopard.
Wait.
It's basically a reverse harem. That's what it is.
You said she was married. You said Anita is a vampire hunter.
Yeah.
She's married to the vampire king.
At some point, yes.
And then she has relations with the werewolf king.
Yes.
And then what else?
And then she becomes the were-leopard queen for a while.
Like a
lot of these people have to have sex to also their were tendencies. So they, instead of turning into a werewolf, they have to have sex. But then also she's a vampire hunter. So she's also badass and fighting these demons and creatures. There's 15 books in this series. I've read all of them.
Me. Okay. I am so sorry for derailing your flow, but
this is hilarious.
I think they made a comic book out of this woman. This woman has a comic book series.
I have no doubt.
Love her.
This doesn't even surprise me.
This is basically like a reverse harem. It is. Yeah. I loved her that's
growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I found her stuff way too early though. I was in middle school when I started reading this.
Yeah. Anyway, that seems a bit early to start reading that.
So we didn't have Netflix until after college. I didn't have Netflix.
Wow.
So I had roommates who had Netflix eventually, but I personally never had access to Netflix. I owned a bunch of DVDs. We used to buy DVDs in college and binge stuff. So that's how I never watched CW when it was on air. I watched it many years later. So One Tree Hill, The OC, that type of stuff I watched on DVDs in college.
Okay. All right.
And then we got Netflix. And then so in Asian dramas, I found whatever I could on YouTube and watched it that way. So that was 2008, which is the year I graduated high school. And so did I graduate? No, I graduated middle school.
No.
Yeah, I started high school in 2008, graduated in 2012. So from 2008 to 2012, I would watch whatever I could find on YouTube, and that was pretty much it. And then periodically I would find like a DVD at Blockbuster, but it was like really, really random Asian like dramas and Asian movies. So it was like I could basically get what I could have, whatever I could get my hands on. But I was pretty much watching HBO, True Blood, and like all of the crime shows you could possibly think of, and all the British TV you could possibly think of. And I had a stint in there watching Swedish crime shows, which are amazing, like Wallander, for example. So yeah, that was my thing until I got into Asian dramas.
Yeah, mine was obviously the CW channel because that's where most of my shows came from when I American shows that I used to watch usually came from the CW channel. And now I watch none of them at all.
Yeah, I can't stand them now.
Well, then my dad was an avid superhero person too. Like he was a DC and Marvel
he's a DC person.
So
okay.
Well, he was Marvel. He was it depended on the superhero. Because like his favorite is famous as Green Lantern, but we've never had we've never had a good adaptation of Green Lantern. So
no.
Couldn't do that. So
only in comics.
Yeah, he was an avid comic book reader. So like I grew up also like watching those types of stuff with him. And then also we were a Star Trek house. So I've seen all the seasons of the Star Trek, all of them.
Wow.
With my dad and with not. So like that was another show where I like went to Captain Kirk's seasons and pulled them out of the internet eventually and watched all of them and things like that. So I've seen all of the Star Trek episodes too.
That's fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
Star Trek house, not a Star Wars house.
I knew what Star Wars was. It's just we weren't, and we watched all the movies. I have not seen any of the TV shows, but I've seen all the movies.
You're not missing much.
But we just weren't as avid of a Star Wars house as we were a Star Trek like me and my dad specifically. Okay. My mom and my sister would dabble, but it was me and my dad who was very much a Star Trek person.
I like that.
See, this is where this is where I
have a quick story. So I went to C2E2 this year for the first time ever, and I think I might have told you guys a story. So I go to this artist, and his whole thing was like he did essentially like stencils in a way, and it would spray paint different stuff and like stamp different stuff for all the various fandoms you could have. And it was like 3 for $30 or something because it was the last day, and so he was trying to get rid of his inventory. And I picked out and then also I would watch anime on Cartoon Network. Like that was where all of the
Toonami,
bro, like Toonami
changed my life.
And stuff. Yeah. Toonami. That's where I like Sailor Moon was my first anime.
Sailor fucking Moon. I used to watch that bitch every day.
Sailor Moon. Yeah.
So I picked out a Lord of the Rings, a Doctor Who, and a Sailor Moon picture.
Okay.
And I walk up to him, and he looks at me. He looks at the pictures, looks at me, and is like, I've never encountered this. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I think you have the most spread out fandom I have ever seen when somebody's bought them. And I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, well, when normally people like buy 3 for $30, they're like the same fandom. It's like all Doctor Who,
like related.
Yeah.
But you have like Lord of the Rings, Sailor Moon, Doctor Who. You were looking for another thing that you couldn't find. Like it's like yeah, I do like a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came home from C2E2 with all those, and then I came a bunch with like all the C-drama merch as well. So I had a bunch of different stuff.
Good stuff. Good times.
That's where I lose the C-drama merch. I'm not a this is really bizarre. So the way I grew up back in Portugal, the TV there is very, very different. We would watch telenovelas a lot.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what I grew up watching most of the time. So I never watched Lord of the Rings. I never watched Star Trek, Star Wars, none of it. Like I have never even, I know what they are, but I've just never never watched them. My partner still harpers on about it because he's like, how could you not? Because he's watched most of these when he was younger. But
most of the
haven't.
big franchises and in the zeitgeist.
Yeah, I know. But that's just not like what I was watching when I was much younger. I honestly, there was this one, this is going to be a complete out there thing, and basically there was this one thing on Portuguese TV, and it was a telenovela, and if you translate the name, it's called Strawberries and Sugar. Nothing to do with the actual show, and I don't know, but basically it would be every year you would go into this school, and it would be the people in the last year of that school then graduating and going on to do their
it's a reality show,
either university. No, it's a telenovela, and it's basically every year it would renew, and so you'd go through the school year and then the summer, and then it would start back up in September with a new cast. And the stories were wild. It was always this like pairing that would fall in love, and they would be brought apart, and they would break up, and it was like there was drugs involved in one season. There was a whole drug operation. It's crazy. I watched every single episode. That thing was on at 6:30, and I would be home, sat on the sofa, ready for my episode every single day. And if there wasn't, I would be like Googling on YouTube and watching like 10-minute clips so I could watch the whole episode before the next episode came up. It was like a proper obsession. But if you grew up in the early 2000s in Portugal, late 90s, early 2000s, everybody like that age group would be watching this show. So that's what kind of like what that maybe that's why I then eventually got sick of seasons of things. Right.
Jess, were you a Degrassi fan?
No, I never got into Degrassi.
I didn't watch
I
it.
lived through it though.
Degrassi. I never watched it as it aired either, but I lived through vicariously through other people. And
because people would dress as the characters, or they would make references to Degrassi. So I had to kind of like pick it up as I went along. But I never watched Degrassi a single episode.
No, I didn't.
I would get so mad at my parents growing up because these kids would come to school and talk about things that I was not allowed to watch, or I didn't watch. Like, I still remember when the Titanic movie came out. I was not allowed to
remember when the Titanic came out?
The reason why is because my best friend Katie was allowed to see it, and my parents refused to let me see it because they went to watch it and they were like, no, people are dying in the water. You cannot go and see this. And then obviously the car scene, like the car sex scene, they're like, no.
Steamy, like car with the hands.
It was years later when I finally watched this movie. I distinctly remember when this movie came out because I was so mad at my parents for not letting me watch it, because my best friend, who was the same age, was allowed to watch a lot more stuff than I was.
Gosh, I remember watching Titanic as a child, but it was already when it came out on VHS, the two VHSs, because it was so long they had to split it into two VHS tapes. And I remember my parents.
I don't think I watched it until it came to a streaming thing. It was years later.
I watched it in the 90s, definitely late 90s.
I was a child. I don't think I watched it in the 90s.
I watched it, but I remember them covering my eyes during two parts. One was the sex scene, but I can't remember what the other part was. It might have been a death or something. But I watched the Titanic sink. Like, I watched the whole thing.
My parents went to see it in theaters, and they came home. They're like, "No, you're not watching this.
You're not watching it."
But my best friend growing up was like, saw Sixth Sense really at a really young age. And,
are you kidding?
Titanic, and like she was allowed to watch a lot more stuff than I was ever.
The one movie that I thought maybe I watched this too young was Gladiator. I watched that one. I think I was maybe 11 or 12, and that movie is definitely rated R.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And I watched the whole thing. They didn't cover my eyes for nothing. I watched everything.
I didn't watch Sixth Sense until high school. And the one movie I think I remember watching that like was really young, and I probably should have not watched it because I was like 4 or 5 at the time, was Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park scared the shit out of me as a child.
Oh my God. I was a scaredy cat as a child. I remember when we watched Signs. Like at Thanksgiving.
Signs is scary. And even today, like that movie.
I was made fun of by my cousins because they were all scary movie people, and my aunt and uncle allowed them to watch them at a young age. We watched Signs at Thanksgiving, and my windows are nowhere near trees at all.
Okay.
And I went to bed, and I could have sworn there was something scratching at my window.
Tinfoil hat. You were like full tinfoil hat after that.
And then I watched it years later, and I was like, why was I scared about
It's a study in just it's suspense. Like the whole movie is just keeping you in suspense. Yeah. And there's only a couple of parts where you're like, oh shit.
Right. Yeah.
Something's actually happening. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I don't do
the 90s
scary movies.
Man, the late 90s had some freaking banger movies.
Yeah.
Like you just mentioned Jurassic Park, Signs, Sixth Sense, Titanic. These are some of the best movies of all time.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, back to you, Liliana. If you want to ask the next question.
I did say this is just gonna be a very rambly episode. I'm not sure.
That's okay. It's gonna be a long ass episode, guys. Just
sit back.
Yeah. So how did Asian dramas change like our watching habits? And how
I can answer that.
And I was just gonna tie in the next question because I think it ties in with it.
Maybe the next two. The two probably.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, how did our change? How did start blooming it? See, this is what happens. How did Asian dramas change said watching habits? How did we watch dramas right at the start when we started watching Asian dramas? And how do we currently watch Asian dramas now? So I feel like that all sort of ties in to one question. Did you say, Caitlin? You were saying,
Caitlin, go for it.
Yeah. So at the very beginning, I was a binger, but that was probably because of the fact I had almost no access to anything. So anything I did have access to, I binged right away in case they were taken off of YouTube unexpectedly, or I had to like
necessity.
Or I had to get the DVD back to Blockbuster or something like that.
Blockbuster. I had Hollywood Video in my second neighborhood that I grew up in. But and Blockbuster.
And then I remember distinctly I got drama fever.
Bitch.
Because
you want to do this now? You want to do this now?
Well, R.I.P.
I didn't get drama fever until I was in DC. Like I bought drama fever after I was out of Peace Corps. So this was like 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
I specifically bought drama fever to watch Goblins.
It's 2016.
For some reason, I binged Goblin. I had to watch Goblin in 4 days. I'm not really sure why. Like,
was it like a trial? Maybe it was a free trial. I think
maybe it was a free trial or something. So I binged it in like a long weekend. I bought it on like Memorial Day weekend or something.
So it was 2017.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, because I left Peace Corps July of 2016, so I probably didn't buy it until 2017.
Because I think Goblin aired late, almost at the end of the year 2016, I think into early 2017.
Yeah,
it's a winter show, and then Memorial Day is already early, like 2017. So you got it in 2017.
Yeah. So it was probably like a trial or something. So I binged Goblin, and then I binged like 10 Miles of Peach Blossom. And so I kept drama fever after the 4 days because I was like, I got Vicky. And then of course I had Netflix already. So nowadays though, I don't binge very often. I watch a lot more on air dramas because one, I have to really love a drama to like binge it, because I just discovered after I binge like 3 or 4 episodes, my attention span goes down. And sometimes it even causes me to drop something because I'll get bored. So I've just learned that I can only binge like 2 or 3 episodes, and then I have to switch to something else unless I'm like loving the drama, or I have to finish it because of a podcast episode. So one of the two. So yeah, currently I pretty much like will hop around. I'm usually watching 8 to 10 dramas at a time and kind of just hop around whatever. And most of them are airing depending on the month, but that's pretty much how my watching habits are.
So
wow.
For me, when I started watching Asian dramas, I was a binger as well. Like I said, I binged bloody Ashes of Love, all 63 episodes of it in 3 days.
63.
So I was like binging them.
That
And
was
the
me
thing
in
is,
10 Miles, man. That was me in 10 Miles. I watched it in
10
a
miles.
weekend.
and the thing is,
Like an oasis in the desert.
I know.
Exactly. And the thing is, because I was only watching on Netflix, and Netflix at that time, anyways, tended to just have completed dramas. I don't think it was really had any Asian dramas that were currently airing, and that didn't come until much later. So I didn't know like the whole airing thing. I was so new to everything. So I was just like a one at show at a time, binge, finish it, move on to the next one. That's like how I would watch dramas. And then I don't even know how, but I stumbled across Vicky, and that's kind of when I started to realize that you could watch them on air. But I swear it was not I don't think it was until like 2019, maybe late 2019, into 2020 that I started watching on air dramas. Because before that, it was just like I was just binging one after the other. And then after, discovering on air dramas, nowadays I am definitely like an on air drama type of person, especially when it comes to Chinese dramas, because first of all, it is hard to watch. Chinese dramas tend to be longer. It's hard to binge them all in one sitting. It's much easier to do a K drama, for example, or even a Japanese drama in one sit, in a couple of sittings, because they're shorter in length anyways. But for me personally, I thrive on the chatter of everybody watching at the same time.
You love the group watch.
Yeah. I've really, really, and I am not the type of person who cares about spoilers. Like, if you want to tell me the ending of something before I finish it, you can absolutely do that. I am not like, I'm the type of person who would go and read the last page of a book before I finished it just to like prepare myself.
Harry from Harry Met Sally. Jeez.
I am terrible. Like, I am honestly terrible. Like, no spoiler for me could be like that big. In fact,
no spoiler can be that big.
It depends on the spoiler for me. Like, if it's like we'll kiss in episode 6, I could care less. If it's like a major death, or if it's a killer of a mystery, like the suspect, and they find the killer, I'm like, why the hell did you reveal that? No. Like,
and
also like if it's a completed drama that's been like out for 5 years, I don't really care. But if it's like an airing drama and like nobody's caught up yet, and you have that type of spoiler, I get a little angry. But if it's like
I'm like
they kiss in episode 7, I really don't care.
See, you could tell me who the killer is. You could tell me all of that. Like, I honestly do not mind spoilers at all in the least. It's really bizarre. But if you tell me a spoiler for a show, it often gets me more excited to watch it. It's really strange. I don't know what it is. But look, it just works for me. It's odd, I know. So I just
it's okay.
Really,
you're a
really
psycho.
like.
That's all you need to say.
Great. So yeah, I discovered like Twitter and on air shows and how
Twitter?
everybody.
Oh God.
I know. Because I didn't really use Twitter before watching Asian dramas.
Same.
And then I started you'd Google something and Twitter would always come up with results on Google for certain things. So I sort of joined that and I started watching. And actually, I think I started using Twitter more because of BTS, because you get all the news and stuff from Twitter. And then I crossed it into like Asian dramas and started doing it that way. And because of that, the glory of watching everybody watching at the same time and everybody's at the same point and you kind of like are theorizing together of what's going to happen and that sort of thing. So nowadays I'm definitely an on air kind of person, and I actually find it really difficult if I fall behind on episodes. I find it really, really difficult to then like go back to it. I've had this problem with The Legend of Shan Li. It's not that the drama isn't good, it's the fact that I lost my steam because when it was airing, it was when all of that debacle with my partner happened and I like just stopped watching. So I fell super behind and now I find it incredibly difficult to go back. And this is what happens with me and like completed dramas. So it makes it even more difficult when the on-air dramas aren't great and then it's like, okay, now I really do need to go and like watch some completed dramas, but I'm definitely an on-air type of person nowadays. What about you, Jess? Because you're
I'm only on air with K dramas, though. I have to make that distinction. I can't watch on air C drama, J dramas.
I can.
Thai drama. Well, I have watched Thai dramas on air, but that's like one a week. It's not like that big of a deal. But any other drama, like especially Chinese dramas, I just can't keep up. I drop behind because I'm watching 8 to 10 dramas. So I usually wait for Chinese dramas to be done to watch them, which is why I haven't watched a ton of the Chinese dramas that I want to watch.
Okay,
go ahead,
so
Jess. Sorry.
No, it's fine. So for me, some drama back in the day, so 2011, 2012, some dramas were on Netflix. So I watched a lot on there. And then once I blew through the Netflix K dramas, I remember illegally watching dramas off of weird ass sites a lot and a lot. And I just searched them up. I was so new. I was like, what do I need to watch? What am I missing? Do I need to go back? It was a whole new world. So I would look up on forums, like what dramas to watch, what are the best K dramas, blah, blah, blah. And I still remember vividly, like I have the image of the site in my head where it was just a tiny thumbnail picture of the poster for the K drama. And then next to it would be this, it wasn't even like a synopsis. It would just be like a sentence about it and like what the person felt about it. Like, oh, pretty good, Cinderella's type story, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, perfect. So I would just like go by this giant like top 100 list that this person did. And then a bunch of other forums that had augmented that for me. And then I would find it somewhere online. I would find the episodes subbed and just pray to the good Lord that I didn't put a virus on my computer.
Right.
So that was my MO for years until I got into more. Well, first of all, more dramas started showing up on Netflix. There was a point where like they kind of disappeared off of Netflix. And then all of a sudden, boom, more started coming up on Netflix.
Yeah.
So during that time, I got on Viki, and Viki was free.
Yep. Viki was free at a certain time. Yep.
Yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah. And then Drama Fever, which I did pay for. And Drama Fever was like a whole new world. It was better than Netflix. It was better than Prime, better than Disney Plus.
Better than all of them.
Better than all of them combined. It was amazing. The interface,
and
everything.
You watched airing dramas on there too. It wasn't just like you had a ton of airing dramas, which is why so many people got so pissed when it shut down.
When it was
a lot
like,
of us were in the middle of dramas when it shut down.
It would be as if Netflix shut down.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
What the fuck would you do? Like it was devastating.
I am not from the Drama Fever era, but I wish I was just to experience it because I'm like, Netflix and Viki. And I will say, I have beef with Viki in general. I just find the interface to be so ridiculously outdated compared to everything out there. But I don't know. So I wish, because like whenever I hear anybody talk about Drama Fever, everybody just talks about it with such fondness. And I'm like, how did they let this go? Like, it sounds like it's so good.
It was wonderful.
How did it like get to the place it did?
Because Warner Brothers bought it and
killed
decided
it.
and killed it basically.
Yeah. So I just wish there was like, they would bring it back or something.
It was a wonderful time.
Mm-hmm.
I think back on it with fondness. The Drama Fever Vicky Netflix trio was the best time.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the best streaming trio.
Yep.
Now I watch it on everything: Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, Hulu, iQIYI, Viki, wherever you can find them, you get them. YouTube, whatever.
WeTV, Mango TV,
Mango TV, Yoku, whatever. But if we're talking about, and I've already said this day in and day out, I'm a binger. I love binging dramas. I have the memory of a peanut, and I tend to forget dramas, like details of a drama, characters, updates that happen episode by episode if I wait to watch weekly. So binging helps me keep everything perfectly straight in a straight line. And that does really well for me. Like mentally, like my capacity does, my constitution does way better with binging. And I am an impatient person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like waiting for things. I think I value my time, and like waiting for things equates over time. This is how I feel. If I wait for something, that's poor.
Yeah.
Poor people wait for things. I'm not poor. Give it to me now. Rich people pay for things and they get it immediately. So this is my stupid like complex. So I would rather start a drama towards the end, like episode 15, and there's only one episode left to air, so that I can binge through the whole thing all at once.
Yeah.
Rather than waiting week to week. And again, I think I've said this in multiple episodes, but I started dramas in a vacuum. I was literally going on forums where I was not commenting to people and having back and forth conversations with people about dramas and finding like-minded people. I watch dramas in a vacuum. So I still have that mentality of I only need to talk to me, myself, and I to know if the drama is good.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't care about the group watch mentality. I don't get FOMO. I don't give a shit. Like, so it's about me. Like, I don't have anybody in my life that watches dramas either.
Same.
So in my day-to-day life, I never come across someone who lives the same life that I do as far as watching Asian dramas. So again, it never comes up in my daily life. I don't have a problem spending my days doing what I want to do and then watching the dramas that I want to watch and sleeping soundly at night, not talking to nobody about what I just did. So the social media aspect has changed everything. For Asian dramas, definitely. And which dramas get popular and so on and so forth. The list goes on. And it's totally different than how I started watching dramas. If we're talking about like what genres or tropes that I gravitate toward, because it's been a journey, really, I watched a lot of melodramas and rom-coms when I first started getting into K-dramas. I loved the lightness and the PG romance of the rom-coms. And this is someone who has literally, right before I started watching K-dramas, binged True Blood, an HBO like high sexed up show. So then
I love that show. That show was wild.
It was wild.
That show was just wild.
Like I'm talking like people like just having sex in like a puddle of blood. Like it was nuts.
It was
nuts.
Wild.
Right. It was
wild. So going from that to like a handhold is like amazing. So I liked the kind of getting back to basics nature of the K-dramas, and the tropes were fun. They were new as well as familiar because obviously I had come from binging, reading YA fiction. And all these tropes were familiar. I also really loved high intensity emotions, angst of the melodramas, a good cry, and I'm the person that has a list of movies I can only watch alone because people don't understand why I'd want to watch such a damn sad or morose movie. So I'm like, fine, I'll watch it by myself.
Yeah.
I think melodramas are romantic and heartbreaking and life affirming and cathartic in a way to experience this unbelievable high as well as unbelievable low vicariously. And when it ends, you just shut it off and subconsciously appreciate your life because it's not that dramatic. Your real life is not that dramatic. Mm-hmm. So the melodramas and rom-coms are still there for me, but I've added more genres and branched out now, maybe to genres that aren't so basic, for lack of a better word. Besides romance, I do like crime, slice of life, coming of age, fantasy, action, thriller. The ones that I steer clear from are medical, legal, and those long family dramas, just because I've done them and I can almost never finish them because they're just the episode count is so long. So not that the stories are bad, it's literally just the length of the shows that I just lose interest. So yeah. I just grew up on a diverse set of entertainment, like diverse diet of entertainment, and no genre except for maybe horror was off limits. So that's carried over into Asian dramas.
Yeah, that's the same for me, actually. I've carried that over into Asian dramas. I'm the type of watcher. I am very much a mood watcher, so I have to be in the right mood to watch a certain genre. So I can watch a melodrama, or I could watch, something that's gonna tear me up completely, or a crime drama or whatever, but I have to be in the right mood for it, because otherwise it's just like it's not going to connect. So for example, something like Amidst a Snowstorm of Love or Meet Yourself or anything like that, those shows that to me are quite comforting. If I'm not in the right mood for them, they're still not gonna work, even though they're dramas that I really, really love. So I think for me, I've always leaned in towards fantasy and romance and that thing, and that definitely carries over into what I like to watch now. But there is something that has been added to the genres that I watch, and it's something that's very particular to Asian dramas, and that has to be like historicals, because that's something that I'd never really read in any books. Like, yes, there is the classics, but I never actually read them. I've watched a lot of the adaptations, but I was always a urban fantasy type of girly. Like, that's what I used to love reading, and that's what I used to love watching. So shows like Arrow and that sort of thing in Smallville, yes, they're fantasy, but they're very urban fantasy. So that is something that's very new to and specific
even
to
Mortal
me and
Instruments.
Asian dramas. Yeah, even Mortal Instruments.
Yeah.
It's very urban fantasy. So when I transitioned, and I think it is because it is because of the first show that I watched, because Ashes of Love, you have the beautiful costumes and it's like it's a whole new world. So when I then started watching other stuff, it wasn't that bad. And also, I think that's something that has changed, even just from Asian dramas, because I've been watching, it'll be 6 years this year that I've been watching Asian dramas. And when I started watching, I was like, I didn't really like the political shows or anything like that. But nowadays, that has changed because, for example, Joy of Life is a very political drama, but it also has a lot of comedy and stuff like that. And I ended up loving it, really, really loving it, both season 1 and season 2. And even a classic like Nirvana in Fire, like that is all politics. There is no romance. There is nothing. It is just politics.
Right.
And although it was kind of like a brain workout, I finished it and I was proud of myself for finishing it. And I appreciate what the show is for the classic that it is. Whereas like 6 years ago, that would have floated. Like I wouldn't have, even attempted something like that. So that's definitely something that's changed for me in terms of Asian dramas, I think. So yeah. So
I don't think my genre's changed at all.
Yeah, you're a crime lover through and through.
I'm a crime lover, but even like I liked fantasy and stuff too. Like I watched True Blood, I watched all that stuff. I read all that stuff, but I also was a huge history buff. I still am. Like I read like probably every autobiography you could possibly think of when it came to Queen Elizabeth or like the Tudors, for example. And I watched like the Showtime series, The Tudors. I have that on DVD. So like I love the political Chinese dramas, or I love the historical like Chinese dramas and all that stuff. And obviously crime too. So like I don't really think my genres changed from the American shows to
I love
Asian
a good period
dramas.
piece. Like I've always loved a good period piece. And like especially oh my god, this is underrated, but like Swords and Sandals, like Roman era type anything. Oh my god, give it to me in the vein.
Rome.
Straight in the vein.
I once listened to an entire podcast of all the rulers of Rome. It was like 150 episodes of the history of Rome. Like I was a Greek mythology girly. Like I had all the
what?
And I'm playing Hades on Switch right now because I love that lore so much. Like
oh my god, yes.
I've always been into like
the Greek mythology thing. I used to study it because I had to read the Odyssey and the Iliad for my degree. But my sister is a huge Greek mythology girly. In fact, she found some like French show that's dubbed in English on Amazon Prime, and each episode is on a different legend or a mythology.
Please,
and
please get
I'll get the info
because I would
it's amazing.
Love
it's
to
all
watch
it's
that.
like narrated and done really well, and then everything is sort of illustrated as well. And she says she falls asleep to an episode every night, but she's like actually learning about all of the actual Greek mythology.
That.
It's amazing. So she's even more of a Greek mythology girly than I am now.
I absolutely adore Greek mythology, especially anything that's like Hades and Persephone.
Don't forget
give me all of it. Like, give me all of it. Absolutely. Like, I think I mentioned this to you guys, but I started the Lore Olympus like webtoon that they've then put into books. And that is a Hades and Persephone, but if they were kind of like in modern worlds. And I'm like, I adore this. I am like anything Greek mythology is definitely where I'm at. I really I've lost count the books that I think anything like that comes across my Audible or whatever, as soon as it says Hades and Persephone, I'm like, add to cart.
Have you seen the Netflix cartoon about the Greek mythology?
It's no, I haven't.
It's Son of Zeus, I think it's called. It has 2 seasons.
Oh my god, no, I haven't, but I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah,
no,
it's called Blood of Zeus. And it's basically about a guy who's an illegitimate son of Zeus and how he has to like
of those.
yeah,
there's many of those, but like he has to like save the heavens and like save the realms that his parents live in and whatever.
I'm gonna have to look that one up later.
Fair.
It's good. It's really good.
We'll get the info from Jess's sister, and then
yes.
So
she'll be more than happy to share that.
Please do. So how, why, and when do we decide to drop dramas? Now, this is something that for me has also changed because
really?
So at the beginning, I was a completion. Like I would finish. Every single drama. Like I was that type of person. So there is definitely dramas that I finished that I was like, oh my God, like I feel like I want my money back. I want my time back because I was a one and done drama. I would finish it. And this was for the first year of me watching Asian dramas. I would complete every single drama I started. And then that very quickly started to change because you start to for me personally, I started to learn what I liked and what I didn't. And nowadays, and then I went through a phase where I would give K-dramas at least 4 episodes, and I would give like Chinese dramas at least maybe 12 episodes, depending on the length of the Chinese drama. Nowadays, I can very quickly tell if I'm going to enjoy something or not. Even like from the cast, I've just sort of learned what's going to kind of like work for me or not. So now if I'm not enjoying it, I drop it. And I'm like, I don't even care. Even if it's like really highly rated and everybody else is kind of enjoying it. I'm like, well, but I'm not. But I do get really bad FOMO though. If it's a drama that everybody is really, really, really enjoying. And I'm like, do I need to maybe just watch a bit more to see? And then I'm like, and then there has been a couple of times where I've gone back and I'm like, oh no, they let them have it. I'll let it go. Like it's not. So I've sort of learned my lesson from those. And if I'm not enjoying it, then I'm dropping it, regardless of what other people say, simply because I just don't have enough hours to be wasting on shows that I don't absolutely enjoy. Like, there's just
say it again for the people at the back.
Like, time is precious. Time is precious, and at the end of the day, I watch Asian dramas for entertainment. If I'm not entertained, that drama ain't doing its job for me, so it's time to let it go.
Every drama is in the gladiator ring, and if they can't duke it out and win, kill it. This is a very, very, like, at the time that we are recording, this is very fresh. So Fox Spirit Matchmaker, I have been harping on about this show for months. I have been so excited for it. The promo looks good. It's Xianxia. Like, it's an S plus show, right?
Waiting. It's an S plus show. Everything looks gorgeous, and I'm like, great, this is gonna be great. Do you know what? I watched 12 episodes of it and I was so bored out of my mind. This freaking storytelling, the show is boring. And a lot of people have said it. I mean, on MDL, it's got a really low score. So it's got, let me just go and check. So now on
I don't want to know what it is on
MDL,
Douban.
Yeah, on Douban, it's bad. I don't even think they have it on Douban. I don't know if it's up yet on Douban or not. Let me just see. Right now, Fox Spirit Matchmaker has a 7.8 on MDL. So
failure.
That with a pinch of salt. But like I said,
who's still giving this a 7 out of 10 though?
Who, me?
Who is rating it a 7 out of 10 and an 8 out of 10 for it to get a 7.3?
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm gonna so
people are generous. We need the Goodreads crowd out here on MDL.
Oh my god, the Goodreads crowd are great.
Where's the Goodreads girlies?
They're great.
Get some honesty out here.
Like I said, that one was one I was super excited for it, and yet I was like, I'm dropping it. I don't care. I'm letting it go. So this was something that maybe 5 years ago I wouldn't have done. I would have just stuck it out and watched it all. So that's definitely something that's changed. And main reason for me for dropping shows is I'm not enjoying them. And it's regardless of whether, like, some people will keep watching just because they're enjoying one aspect of the show.
Right.
But I have to have more. I have to have like more from it. I have to enjoy, I would say, at least 60% of the show as a whole for me to keep watching.
Yeah.
If it drops below 50 and I'm like watching it for 20% of the time, then I'm like, it's not worth my time. So yeah. What about you, Jess? I'm gonna look up the Douban score.
Okay, good. Yeah, let me know.
Yeah.
It has to do with boredom. Like, if I get bored and literally forget about the show, it's almost like a natural drop of the show. I drop if the writing is bad. I may or may not drop if the acting is bad. If there's a weak link in the show, I'll probably give it a good shot before dropping. It's more unforgivable when it's one of the main actors that's dragging everyone else down versus a side character or a second lead. Now, I'm a savage. I've been known to kind of coast through a show with a really good beginning, and then it starts to gradually decline in quality. I'll drop a show whenever I damn well feel like it. I've dropped multiple shows at episode 15 out of 16. Like, just fuck it. Like, I won't even stick around for one more episode to claim that I completed the show. I will drop it. So it just totally depends. I thought that I had this mentality only in the last few years, that I only watch shows that I really enjoy, or, you know, I'm this level of savagery. But no, when I was going through my drop list, I was like, oh no, I remember watching this show early, like back in my parents' house. So 2012, 2013, and I dropped it. So like, and it came out around then too. Like, it's not like the show was from 2015 and I somehow remember watching it in 2012. No, the show came out in 2012. I remember watching it in 2012 and I dropped it in 2012. So I'm like, oh, I've always been a savage. Maybe I had a little bit of a completionist attitude back then, where I was like, I am going to watch a show and I'm going to finish it. But if I didn't like it, I just would stop watching it. So
yeah,
there's that.
I just had a little look. So Douban is a little bit more complicated to rate, unlike MDL. Like MDL, you can literally rate on the first day of it being out. You can rate. Douban doesn't work like that. It has to have either completed, or it has to have like a certain amount. Like, I think most of the drama has to be out.
Well, that's fair.
So yeah, so they don't actually have a Douban rating for it, but
Got it.
I will be surprised if it's above a 6. I will be shocked if it's above a 6 on Douban, because they are much, much harsher on there. So yeah.
Caitlin,
yeah.
why, and when do you decide to drop?
So I was like Liliana, and first when I started, I binged stuff and I wouldn't drop stuff. I think part of it was like there was not a lot to work with when I started watching dramas, so I didn't want to drop something because there might not be something else for me to watch until I found something again.
Like scarcity. The scarcity.
Yeah, there
problem.
was like scarcity, at least where I lived. Like, I mean, I know there are people who might have had better access, but I didn't when I first started. So I would binge and I would pull, like, just watch anything I could get my hands on, whether it was good or bad. So then, and that was a while. Like, I trudged through a lot of dramas I should have dropped like for years. And then eventually when I had more options, when I got access to Viki and Drama Fever and Netflix, that's when I started to like really hone in on what I liked and what I wanted to watch and like what I dropped. Usually with K-dramas, I give it, unless I like hate it, like I watch the first episode and I just don't know. Like, and I've done that now, but I usually give it like a 4-episode rule when it comes to K-dramas, unless I know for a fact I don't like it. And I have done that. I've watched the first episode and I'm like, this isn't for me. And then there's even times now that I know that even from a trailer, I know I won't like it, so I won't even try it. So
same.
I've gotten better at that too. When it comes to like any other country, I don't really have a steadfast rule. Like, it's only K-dramas, I think, because those are the only ones I watch that air as they air. So like, if I watch a first episode of a Thai drama and I know it's just not for me, I will just drop it. Like, it's not something I try to trudge through anymore, but I usually just stick to the 4-episode rule when it comes to K-dramas. And that's pretty much the only rule I have nowadays. But I will break that. I don't think I've ever no, I shouldn't say that. I have definitely dropped dramas on like episode 15 of 16 in a K-drama before. Especially like I will also drop dramas like for various reasons. Like, I'll get bored, obviously. If it's a crime drama and I have figured out the ending and figured out who the killer is, and it's only like episode 6, and I like, do I want to watch this entire thing even though I know the ending and I'm positive I know the ending? I have dropped dramas because of that, not necessarily because I'm bored, but just because I like don't want to see if I'm correct, because I'm like positive I'm correct. Like, I've done that multiple times. If I'm spoiled on the ending and I don't like the ending, like I did that recently with a crime drama where it just didn't go the direction I wanted it to go, and I hated the direction it went, I drop it. Like, but that, I mean, again, I usually am good with spoilers. I'm okay with spoilers. It just depends on the type of spoiler. And also if I'm spoiled and it's like a crime drama and I know the killer, I drop it too, because it's like I don't want to waste my time because I already know the ending.
So
normally with crime dramas, if I know the ending, I'll drop it because it's just not. I like the fun of me watching crime dramas is like I play along and I guess and I figure out the clues along with the characters. So if I figure out it too fast, I get bored and then I'm like, I'm not gonna try and watch this because I know the ending. Like, what's the point? So yeah, I've gotten better at dropping shows. At the beginning though, I definitely trudged through a lot of dramas I shouldn't have.
Right. So, since it's on the drop drama train, because let's talk about some dramas that each of us have sort of dropped and that we glad we did, and like just why we sort of dropped them. So for me,
are we doing like our entire list at once, or are we doing one and one? Like, are we doing like
I just
one
have a handful.
Yeah, I just have a couple. Picked. Yeah. I just.
But I mean, are we talking of them all at the same time? Like Liliana, you're going. Are you talking?
Oh yeah. Right now? I thought that.
Yeah.
She'll talk through like her set, and then
Okay, and then we'll move on to the next one. So I picked a few that are like most recent, and apparently I think I was catching some energy from Jess because I like, and catching a bit of chaos. And I was like, I'm going to pick my most
controversial.
What's the word? My most controversial ones.
And the ones everyone will recognize and be like,
yeah. Well, I think the most controversial one is Goblin, but I'm not going to go there because I feel like I'm going to
Wait. No. We're going to go there. Talk about it. You can't just throw that out there and be like, we're not going to talk about why I dropped Goblin. Yes, we are. Talk about it.
I feel like I'm going to get a whole message set from this, but so I think I tried Goblin out a couple of maybe 2 years into watching Asian dramas.
Okay.
And on the surface, Goblin should be a show that I love because it's fantasy, it's urban fantasy. It's like on the surface, it should be something that I really, really enjoy. But I watched, I think, 4 episodes of it and I fell asleep. In every single episode, I would fall asleep.
Yep.
And I tried. I was like, oh, maybe I'm just tired. So I switched it up, watched it in the afternoon, watched it at different times, and I would end up falling asleep. Now, I don't like the main couple in that drama. I just don't. I feel like they don't click for me. And I know what people are going to say, but the bromance is really good. That's where the story's at. And I get it, but I can watch a lot of edits of them. In fact, I have watched a lot of edits of the bromance. And I'm like, this is great. But it doesn't entice me enough to go back and watch it again. And there's just something about the story that doesn't work for me. And I don't know what it is. It is one of those dramas that I can't put my finger on.
You can't put your finger on it.
But then, do you know what it is? An aspect of it. It's the fact that I would ask for suggestions, and this was early on. And obviously, Goblin is always suggested. You have to watch it. It's a classic. You have to watch it. And it started getting my hackles up that everybody was like, oh, no, you have to push through. You have to watch it. And I was like, no, I don't.
I hardly ever use that language because personally, I do the same thing. I like bucket. I don't like when people say, oh, you have to watch. You're not a K-drama fan until you watch this, or you're not a this until you watch this, or you can't call yourself this until you watch this. Babe, fuck all that. Like, you watch what you want to watch. And yes, definitely give those classics a shot, but like, it's not a requirement to have to go back and watch. You know what I'm saying? Like, watch it on your time, on your own speed, on your own time. But so as far as like, you know what I'm saying, like pressuring someone, I don't know, it always hits me the wrong way and makes me not want to watch.
Exactly. And I think that's then what it became for me. It became I really don't want to watch it now because because so many people were saying you have to watch it. You're not a K-drama lover unless you've watched it. I turn the other direction completely and I'm like, I really don't want to now. So I think that's what it's become. I have said I've said, and I think I was talking to Naz. I think I recorded an episode with Naz about this. And I have said I am not opposed to going back at some point and trying it again. But I have to sort of let go of the almost rage that I have towards the show before I give it a really fair shot.
Right.
Just because I think for me now, it's associated with a lot of you have to watch it. But no, you have to watch it. And until I get rid of all of that, the show's going to suffer because I'm not going to give it a completely fair shot. So until I'm like ready to give it a fair shot, and I think I tried like 3 times on 3 separate occasions, and I was just getting more and more frustrated. So I was like, I just need to let it go. So I think Goblin is actually the one show that I've given more chances to than any other show I've ever, dropped or watched or whatever. Just because, so I think I have like a love-hate relationship with it, more on the hate side, and it mainly comes a lot from the fandom and not necessarily the show itself, even though to me I have like, I don't know, the relationship, it's a bit odd that she's in high school and he's like a ridiculously old person, even though I watch Xianxia, and in Xianxia,
thing.
it's the same.
I mean,
it's so the same,
I think people get the ick for really weird things. And this is one of those things where I understand why people are turned off by it and they don't like it because she's acting really infantile. He's a grown man. I understand. And the age gap between the actors is 12 years. Kim Go-eun was 12 years younger than Kong Yu when she did this show. Well, she will always be 12 years younger than Kong Yu.
Anyway. But I know what you mean.
Anyway, but you know what I mean. However, this is not just unique to Goblin. This is like all fantasy has this in it with like an immortal dude or figure with a much younger mortal love interest.
Do you know what it is though?
Bonus points if it's a teenager because YA fic, I'm like, I've read this 1,000,000 times.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm like, this is not new. It's actually pretty standard for the genre. And they just somehow like, I think it's post, I don't want to say wokeness, but it's like 2024 speaking, basically. They're like, people are hyper aware of age gaps.
Right.
And I'm the first one to bitch at an age gap. Okay. Raise your hand if you have bitched at an age gap in the last 24 hours. Me, it's always going to be me. I hate big age gaps. This one didn't really irk me that much, truly. So I hear people, I hear them, and I see where they're coming from. I just don't subscribe to it. So it just depends.
I think it's like if I'm watching a Xianxia, for me, that's a whole different thing because they're in costume. It's really different. But like with this one, they aren't. They are in modern clothes. And yes, I used to watch a lot of YA, but a lot of the YA that I really, really loved, not all of it, but a lot of it, the character, like the female lead, was a little bit more mature. It is to me the way she acts it as well.
She's very, yeah.
So,
but also it's visible. Like the other thing is, I think, is like a lot of people couldn't get past the fact that like he looked older. Yeah, it wasn't just like you were just mentioning with all YA, Liliana, like the Vampire Diaries. They were all in quote unquote high school. Like the vampires, like at least the younger brother pretended to be in high school.
Yeah.
But he fit the part. It wasn't like he looked like he was 40 years old trying to be a high school student. I think that's what is happening too, is like some of these age gaps are visibly an age gap. Whereas like you pick actors who might not be the same age. Like they might have this massive age gap. But they look similar in looks.
How long have you been 17?
Like, exactly.
Long time.
It doesn't matter. I think what doesn't help the fact is like
she's acting really infantile.
Is not trying to be
and
a
Kong
high
Yu
schooler.
is 40 something years old, and he looks older.
And he looks older. He's not trying to be a high schooler, and he's not fitting the bill of like the age gap shows. I think that's what also is
hear a lot for Goblin is the complaint of grooming. They think that he's grooming her, and I'm like, I don't see that. I've watched the show twice.
Yeah, I like.
Never have had. I have cried grooming on other things. I have never thought that he was grooming her in that show. And yes, she goes to live with him and the Reaper in their giant mansion, and she's in dire straits and she's poor and all this stuff. But it's really, he never like does anything untoward to her when she is 19 and underage, like technically underage in Korea and in high school. So really they're like skinship and like true romance takes off when she's older. So and this is, I don't want to spoil too much about the show, but it's dramatic and a lot of stuff happens, and she's sort of, it's a fated romance, right? Like it's a fated ill-fated romance. Yeah.
Oh, I know everything that happens. Like, so I've known all the spoilers.
Yeah, but just in case like people are listening and they have it, because I know you spoiled it for yourself. We've had this conversation before. I was like, I was trying to dance around it, and you're like, I know this, that, and the other, and I was like, well, fuck.
Yeah, you can just tell me that's fine. I think for me, like one of the biggest things, it's like, and obviously, then I would have to push through and watch the rest of the show. But it's like the first 4 episodes that I've watched, I'm like, how does this man fall in love with like someone like her? Does that make sense to you? Like how? And I guess that's in the beauty of the writing of it. But yeah, so that's Goblin. But I think that's probably my most controversial one, because I've heard it from many people that it is. So we can.
I would say that it is, but I'm not that offended. Like I'm Goblin's number one fan. I'm still like, all right.
But the thing is, you're a mature watcher. There's a lot of fans of Goblin out there.
How can you say that?
Yeah, exactly. You know.
It's anybody with anybody their favorite show. Like anybody who has a favorite show and doesn't like the fact that another person doesn't like their recommendation or doesn't agree with their opinions. You encounter it with every fandom, no matter the show or whatever fandom.
Yeah. So, Goblin, we've
what are some other ones?
Said that. The Impossible Heir. So I was really excited about that. It's EJ work. It's like I was really, really excited about it. It sounded really interesting. And to me, it was going to be like a bromance. And these two were going to be really, really close and whatnot, and they were going to fight together and whatnot. And then first of all, I hated the love triangle. It was stupid as heck. That female lead just did not work for me, and I dropped it. And then I kind of read reviews of other people who finished it. I am so glad I dropped it. And you know what? It has a 6.2 on my drama list.
It's shit.
That's
shit,
on my drama list. Like
that's low.
So I have zero regrets about dropping that one, and I'm really frustrated because it had really, really good potential. To me, it's in the acting and the way it was, not the acting, it's in the writing and the way it was kind of like directed. So I feel like that was the downfall for that one. So that's why I dropped The Heir. We've already talked about Fox Spirit Matchmaker. Zero regrets about that one. King of the Land.
We're going there. Okay.
I'm going from all the I told you I pulled on your energy today. The chaos energy.
I don't even have this level of like.
Oh, I also pulled from this energy chest. I have a couple that people probably will be angry about.
Do you know what it is? I just know that I won't like something, and so I don't even bother. So all of these ones that you're saying, I'm like, yeah, fuck that. I ain't watching that, and I just don't watch it. So I can't drop something I haven't watched.
I didn't even start Impossible Heir.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, it was on my list to start, but I'm like, yeah, same. It was on my list to start, and I'm like, nope. I saw what people were saying, and I'm like, nope, I'm not watching it.
But the thing is, though, I watched 4 episodes of that, and I was excited. Like the first episode was really good. Like the sort of first episode that they gave us was really good. So I got really excited, and I was like, I'll watch episode 2. Dropped a little bit, and then by 3 and 4, I was like, bugger this shit. Like I am not signing up for this. I am
I
done.
I can't remember who I said this to, but I said this the other day. I would much rather have a show be kind of okay to start with and then gradually blow me away by the end, have an amazing ending, then it be an ungodly amazing great first episode. And then
it just goes downhill.
Just go downhill from there.
And I feel like that seems to be a pattern nowadays.
Yep.
I feel like a lot of dramas have had really strong starts, and then all of a sudden it feels like
what happens?
New writers enters the room or something, and it just goes downhill completely. Downhill completely. So yeah, King the Land for me, I was just really bored. I'm not gonna lie. The chemistry was great, like between the 2 main couples, the main leads, but I just couldn't. I was quite bored throughout it, and I was really, really excited because this is, oh my god, I forgot his name. I'm
Yuno and Juno.
Yeah. So Juno, this was his first drama after the Red
Sleeve.
Is it the Red Sleeve? I'm all over the place.
Sorry.
The Red Sleeve. This was his first drama back after the Red Sleeve, and I was like, yes, this is gonna, I'm so excited. And then I looked at the female lead and I was like, oh, okay. I'm so less excited now. She is just like, if you like her, then props to you. But
amazing. Me, you're a unicorn.
She's a lackluster, can I even call her an actress? I don't know.
Idol.
Idol. To me, she's a lackluster. She has no presence on screen to me. So I looked at her and I was like, oh, bugger, this is not. But actually, she was okay. She wasn't like, I wasn't running for the hills. This was not the K2 level. She has improved a little bit.
She wasn't dancing around with a bag of ramen.
Exactly. So I was like, she's improved a little bit. I kind of
that's not her fault. I want to clarify. Her dancing around with a bag of ramen in the K2 is not on her. That's on the director.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And she really suffered with the fact that, Ji Chang-wook had better chemistry with the evil second female lead than she did. But she really did suffer.
And the mother. And the mother.
They were so,
and the mother, in my opinion.
Yeah. To the point where I was like, no, the mother. Yeah, that's the one I mean. That's the one he has really good chemistry with, the mother.
I haven't watched the mother in a long time.
Yeah. That was one where I was like, just give it to the villain. Let the villain win.
Let them have sex.
Exactly. These 2 are sizzling on screen. So going back to King the Land, she wasn't that bad. It was just
the writing.
There was a lot of drama that didn't, I don't know. I was just a little bit bored, and I just didn't like the writing of the show. And you will find a pattern with me. I can just about sit through mediocre acting. I cannot sit through really bad writing. I just can't. Like, it loses. Same. I lose the will to live.
Yes.
Because a good actor cannot make a crap script good. It's just like, no matter if he's the best actor or actress, it's just impossible. So I don't know. To me, it's just one of those things where I can sit through mediocre acting. I just really can't do it with writing. It has to be somewhat good. And a lot of my drops are because the writing lets it down. So yeah, King the Land, The Journey of Chongzi, which is a Chinese xianxia drama. I do not like that actress. I think she is, I'm just gonna look it up. The Journey of Chongzi. And funnily enough, actually, I have seen her recently as a guest appearance in the drama we were just talking about, The Double.
The Double. I
And
was about to say, isn't she in
actually,
The Double?
yeah, but she's only in like the first 2 or 3 episodes. Her character
Oh,
is a
okay.
very sort of like guest appearance. She basically plays the original prime minister's daughter. So I really
Got it.
liked her actually. She did pretty well. So maybe the journey of Chongzi was more not necessarily her, but this female lead played one of the dumbest characters I have ever seen in Xianxia. And I was like, dude, I can do a little bit of them starting off as really innocent and that sort of thing, but not when they're making such dumb choices. Like, I just can't. So I gave up on it. I think I dropped it. Let me see. I think I gave it quite a fair shot. Let me just check. 23 episodes out of 40.
Wow.
Ooh,
So I gave it
more than halfway.
really, really, really fair shot because it's Xianxia and I really like Xianxia. But I was like, dude, I'm done. I can't. So, and the last one, apparently, according to my drama list, this was the first ever drama that I dropped. It's a Korean drama. It's the drama She Was Pretty.
Oh,
And
yeah.
this
She was pretty.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. It has everything to do with the female lead. It's
Really?
She screeches. I feel like she screeches when she's on screen. And I just couldn't. So
And he's so mean to her.
Yeah, he's so mean.
He's
So mean. There's no explanation for it. Like when they finally get together and he knows who she is, he's never like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I treated you like shit.
Yeah. Funny enough, I enjoyed the C-drama version better of that with Dil
I haven't
Raba in
watched. I didn't like. I dropped the Korean drama one episode in. So not even a fair shot. Not even a fair shot. But actually, so the female lead is Hwang Jong-eum, and I actually have watched her in other things. I watched her into All the Guys Who Love Me, and that was a wild ride.
Oh, I dropped that. I dropped that so hard.
I finished that. Don't ask me how, but I did. The only thing that I have enjoyed her in is Mystic Pop-Up Bar. Like, that is the only thing that I have watched her and been like, oh my god, she can actually do a really, really good job. So yeah, that's sort of just some of my choices. What about you, Jess?
Okay, so I grabbed a good mix because I dropped about 50 shows, but I have first up Andante because this show starred EXO's Kai. And this was the first time I realized, yo, idol dramas fucking suck. Like, they suck. So the writing on this, horrendous. EXO Kai, oh my god, boy can't act. I don't think he's been in anything since, and if he has, I blocked it. Like, I have not paid attention to it.
Not even going there.
No, I'm not even going there. Second, I have Miss the Dragon, the C-drama.
I don't know how
I'm looking at my ceiling. I'm looking at my ceiling because, like,
Jess, yeah, Mr. Dragon was
not even Dylan Wong shirtless.
Look that good, like,
in a beautiful silver wig could save it.
No.
It was horrendous. And I got more than halfway through. My journey is actually documented on the Tebak Patreon feed because I did like a mid-say. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be back for a final say, y'all. Yeah, it's been like over a year. I dropped that shit like a bag of hot nickels. It was so bad. I can't believe I got even halfway.
I finished it. Don't ask how. I don't know.
I didn't even start it, and I will not be watching.
I don't know how. I think I was in a fever dream. I don't remember the story. I don't remember half of it. I don't know. I must have just had it on the background or something. So I don't know. But Yeah.
Are you high, bruh? Okay.
Maybe.
Next up, I have dropped, when I saw both of these on here, I started cracking up. I've dropped both the South Korean and the Taiwanese version of Fated to Love You. That just goes to show how much I hate this story so bad. So I think I got far into it, and I was like, no, I still can't. I finished both of them.
I finished the Korean version, and I am scarred for life because that actor's laughter. I swear it was the soundtrack to my nightmares because it was just like I can't do it.
I still have never seen that drama.
You don't need to.
It's not worth it. Yeah, you don't need to.
I know the entire drama. I know the entire drama, but yeah, I never watched it.
Chinese version is slightly better. I did finish the Chinese version, and that was okay-ish. But yeah, it's just the story just isn't great.
It's not. It's so cringy. Okay. Destined with You, which is I think from last year, 2023, with Rowoon.
I dropped that one as well. His romance with the hand was better than
Red Hand. Him and Red Hand had better chemistry. Yeah. So him and Cho Bo-ah, I got like cooked on socials by, what did I say? I said like I didn't like Cho Bo-ah as an actress. I don't think I've ever liked her as an actress. And this show made me realize it because I dropped it, and I dropped it late, like I think 12 or 13, episode 12 or 13. And I expected Rowoon to do something else, like loosen up, and he never did. Right. And what was funny was I was roasting Cho Bo-ah and comparing her to Park Shin-hye because I thought she market corrected. Okay, that's just what it was, because I thought that Cho Bo-ah market corrected Park Shin-hye. But then people were coming in the comments and going, "How can you talk about Cho Bo-ah without mentioning Rowoon? Rowoon's such a bad actor, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, oh, babes, you're talking to the correct person if you want me to roast Rowoon, but I actually want to keep my life today. So, yeah, Rowoon, I fully expect it because he's so stoic in Destined with You. And I thought, oh, he's going to sort of loosen up. Never happened. Never happened. And then they just made some choices in the plot itself that I was like, oh, that cheapened it. And I lost interest completely and just dropped it. So Destined with You. This is an older one, which I thought, oh, I can't believe I forgot that I dropped this one. So this is from 2012. The show is called Operation Proposal. Have you guys heard of this one?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
No.
With Yoo Sung-ho and Park Eun-bin. Park Eun-bin, everybody's heard of. That's Extraordinary Attorney Yoo. Woo. Park Eun-bin. So this plot line is two best friends, boy and girl, since elementary school. The guy has never confessed his feelings for her, and he's been in love with her for 20 years. On her wedding day, he's kind of like, oh my God, the one that got away, I never confessed my feelings for her. And he regrets it. So a mysterious conductor suddenly appears and offers him a second chance to win her heart. And he starts traveling back in time to events that they've had, hoping to change the outcome of their relationship. So kind of like butterfly effect. Like if I change this one thing, when I go back forward in time, we should be together.
Right. Yeah.
But it's not easy, obviously. Like that's the whole plot of the show, is that like nothing turns out as he expects. He like changes this one thing, but it doesn't turn out as he expected. And the constant going back and forth in time and nothing changing aspect over and over and over again, and him effing it up every time. I was like, enough, put me out of my misery. Yeah. I'm done. I don't even want to see them together. He doesn't deserve her, because even though he loved her, it was just like mistake after mistake after mistake in each, like him going back in time. And it was just, oh my God, I got so sick of it. The same thing happening to different moments in their lives together. And I couldn't stand it anymore. So Operation Proposal. This one might be controversial. Reply 1994.
Oh, okay.
94. So my favorite one is 97 with So In-guk is in that one. Then I tried to watch Reply 1994. Couldn't stand it. Couldn't stand it. I thought
haven't watched.
Oh my God.
I've only watched 1988.
These shows, the Reply series, people refer to them like Bible.
Yeah.
They're not. Let me say it louder. They're not. I went in.
She's going there today.
And I saw it. My favorite one was 97. So I had come in thinking, oh, it's going to be amazing, like Reply 1997. And I got that one. I just got sucked in helplessly. Like I basically showed up thinking I'm going to get a different story, but I'm going to get the same feeling, the same contact high. No. Mm-hmm. I thought Reply 1994 was boring. It was a snail place plot without any of the pizzazz or magic cast chemistry that made me love Reply 1997. And I was falling asleep during episodes. I thought the whole cast was too weird and eclectic to nail this effortless camaraderie that I was expecting. And it handled all the romances super weird. And of course, they have a red herring, like second male lead that they're like, you think she's going to end up with that guy, but it's actually this guy. And the main guy taking eons to confess his feelings for the lead and basically torturing her with his mere presence and their sibling like closeness. And it was eating up the runtime and my patience. And this sounds super vain, but the main guy, ugly. I couldn't stand it. I was like, he's ugly. I can't watch this anymore. So I don't think I'm that vain, but sometimes I am. Or not vain, shallow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this show tried me and I dropped it. So Reply 1994, King's Affection. Mm-hmm. Also with Rowoon getting straight hit with 2 bullets this time. Bro, King's Affection. It started really good where I was like, oh, this is amazing, blah, blah, blah. I think I dropped this one late too, like episode 13. It took me that long to realize I don't think they have chemistry.
I think I also dropped this one.
It was him.
I'm just looking at
it was him and Park Eun-bin.
I've never watched it.
And I realized I don't think they have chemistry. And I was way more interested in her uncle or something who was like the left state minister, left state chancellor or whatever, who will he find out that she's a woman masquerading as a king one. And this eventual like fight that's going to happen between her and this guy.
That's not worth it.
And I was like, that's not enough for me to keep going. And I stopped right where I was. Stopped it. And then the last one I have is The Last Empress, because I had
that's on my other list. I have a lot to say about this one.
I have never been as traumatized. Well, I can't even say that. This is top 5 moments of me being traumatized by a K-drama. This was a makjang, and I didn't know it was a makjang.
No one knew it was going to be a makjang.
Really?
No one knew it was going to last as long as it did. No one knew this.
Okay. So I thought I was going crazy. I thought I was going crazy because it blows past. I've said this before. I've said this story before. It blows past 16 episodes. I'm like, that's weird. It blows past 20 episodes. Yeah. And I'm like, where the fuck is this going? Like, in the plot gets
It got crazy. Extended. It got extended twice. It got extended twice.
I was losing my mind. I was looking in every direction but the screen, trying to figure out what I was watching. Mm-hmm. It was buck wild. And it left such an impression on me. And I couldn't even finish it. I was like, I need to stop now before I have a conniption. And thank God I did. Because I think I spared myself some I think I would have gone on medication or something. I was like stressed watching the show.
I will say
the confusion
for all of the crap that I let go on Netflix coming into K-dramas, this is one thing they did that actually is quite good, is the fact that they sort of brought about, not sure if they did or if it was already happening, but I think they kind of sped it up. Of dramas being pre-produced as opposed to the way Korean dramas were, where they were recording it while they were still on air and then changing stuff and whatnot. So I'm glad that's not the case and they can't do that anymore.
Oh, they still do. It depends on who's making it, but they still do it.
But I think it's a lot less now than it used to be.
Definitely a lot less now. They still do it though.
Because some dramas just get changed or added or whatnot because of public reaction. Yeah. And I feel like 99% of the time they suffer from that. So yeah. Right, Caitlin, you're dropped.
The Last Empress is in another list of mine, so we're gonna come back. Okay, I'm gonna I don't know if mine are controversial. I'm assuming they are. So I'm gonna come out swinging. First one I dropped was Vagabond.
I didn't think that was controversial.
Made it 4 episodes and did not go any further.
You didn't? What happened?
All my notes say is I made it 4 episodes and just could not start the 5th.
Impossible to start the 5th.
That's what my note says. Next one, Extraordinary You. Extraordinary You. I got majorly spoiled. I know. Got majorly spoiled, and I did not want to finish it because I hated the ending.
So, but do you like True Beauty? It's the same writer.
Nope, I dropped that too. That's also on my list. I dropped True Beauty as well.
Okay.
To be fair, I don't think True Beauty would be a drama that would be up Caitlin's alley, so to speak.
Yes, I agree. I can agree with that. I think that assessment's correct.
I am surprised I made it 8 episodes in True Beauty. I watched.
Oh God, I am surprised you made it that far.
But I was like 2 weeks behind at that point, and I'm like, I don't care, and I dropped it. So
I don't care. Leave me alone.
Yeah, so I definitely dropped True Beauty as well. I also dropped VIP, but I'm so glad I did because that ending. I remember when that ending happened and everybody exploded on the internet and was like, this is crap. What the hell? So I'm so glad I dropped that.
All right.
I dropped Startup.
You dropped Startup?
Ooh, that is
I really did not care about it at some point, and I just dropped it, and I fell behind. I was like, I'm just going to drop it because I don't care to catch up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I dropped that. Let's see, what else did I drop? I dropped Run On.
Oh my God.
I watched 2 episodes and I was like, nope, this isn't for me. I'm gonna drop
it. Oh, okay.
I dropped Alice.
Mainly
because
I dropped that one.
He was like falling in love with his mother.
Yeah, I dropped that one.
Yeah, I'm not okay with this.
I would have put the brakes on that one too.
To be fair, I don't think that one's controversial. I think a lot of people dropped that show because everybody was like,
I kind of went through all my controversial ones. Those are pretty much all my controversial ones, in my opinion. I think. Let me quickly look.
I really don't have that many Yeah, I don't have controversial.
Yeah, Alice was terrible. Like the fact that he was falling in love with his mother, it was yeah.
Oh, I also dropped the Red Sleeve.
Oh,
what?
Because I got spoiled on the ending, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna deal with that ending, so I dropped it.
No, we're not doing that.
I dropped the Red Sleeve.
Yeah, I get it.
The last one. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I wasn't that discontented with the wedding or with the ending. Like I know a lot of people hated it, but I was like, I agree to appreciate the ending for it. I really did. So that's my hot take on it, because I know a lot of people are really, really bad at it, but I don't know.
Is that it?
The last one I have is I dropped Checkmate, which is a Chinese drama, because I kept comparing it to My Roommate is a Detective because it was the same 2 leads, and it did not live up to My Roommate is a Detective. So I was like, I'm just gonna drop it because it's not the same.
I do have there's 2 controversial ones that I didn't say. So one is Hotel de Luna.
Okay.
Drop that one. Because something about, first of all, I was bored. Second of all, IU trying to be intimidating in this most fabulous getup and the most fairy like face wasn't working for me. I was like, you can't make me feel intimidated by IU. She weighs 90 pounds soaking wet. She has the voice of an angel. I don't know what you think you're trying to do here. So her with the gun and everything, I was like, okay, fine. And then the second one I dropped was One Spring Night, which I have not heard the end of people loving One Spring Night. Could not stand it.
Right.
Could not stand it. And it had everything to do with the female lead because she's not my favorite actress. Plus, her character was like so wishy-washy and kind of mean toward Jung Hae's character, who was like this wonderful, sweet, single dad pharmacist. And I was like, how the hell is she going to string this guy along? Is she fucking serious? Like, and so I couldn't stand her, so I dropped it.
Yeah.
Vibes.
So yeah, now you know I drop a lot of controversial things all the time. I don't care.
I like that. I like it though. It's fun.
Right.
I have dropped over 50 dramas. I have these aren't even all the ones I've dropped. I've dropped a lot of dramas.
I don't know. Can you I can open up my drama list and very quickly figure out. Let me see. My watch list. I'm just opening it.
MDL doesn't even have all the dramas I dropped because I haven't.
Yeah, I don't think mine has all of them. I just have to go through all of my watch list first, which, guys, it's at, I don't even want to say the number that it's at right now because it's a little bit crazy. Is this my dropped? No, this is my plan to watch. Oh, God. Hang on. Oh, dropped. Okay, this is the dropped one. Oh, God. 162.
Oh,
I'm at least there.
162 dramas that I have dropped. But to be fair, I have now watched 935 dramas. So, you know, that's not that many that just dropped. I don't look, you know,
10%.
MDL. Yeah, 10% almost. You know, MDL gives you that the amount of time you've spent watching. I don't look at it anymore because I regret my life choices a little bit. I'm like, this is a lot of time. So yeah, that is a lot of dramas I've consumed. So dramas we finished but wish we hadn't.
Okay, how much time do we have?
Okay.
Well, I think we're like at 2 hours and a half now.
Oh,
or
God.
like that. So I'm
Caitlin's like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, we've been recording for 3 hours and a half. So.
Okay.
This is what happens, listeners, when the drama trio get together. It tends to be a lot of time.
Dramas we finished but wish we had not.
Okay, I have a couple right now.
Okay,
yeah, I'm
Caitlin.
just gonna let Caitlin go then.
So, how many do you have on your list? How many do I have?
I've got 5 on my list.
Okay, I'll do 5.
I picked up 5.
Okay, first one, Born Again. I wish I never finished it. John Keon's the only good one. The two male leads are the only good thing. I will never watch that actors ever again in a drama. When the Snail Falls in Love, a classic Chinese drama, absolutely hated it, gave it a 1. Man to Man, really popular South Korean drama, gave it a 2, should not have finished it.
Brutal today.
I sort of regret I definitely regret watching this. He is psychometric. I wanted that story to go so differently.
I liked that one.
I wanted that story to go so differently, and I threw something at my TV at that ending, and I was so mad, and I gave it a 5.
Oof.
And last one. Let's see. Awaken. That's the last one I was looking for. Okay. Horrible ending. If you guys have this on your list, take it off your list. Don't watch it. It's so bad. It's like downhill so bad. Like, don't even try. Okay.
Ooh, all right. Okay. I'll go next. So I have number 1, The Bride of Habaek. Woo! Girls.
Oh yeah,
this show.
Same. That's not on my list, but same.
But I have to thank it because I wouldn't be here without the Bride of Habeck. Like
it's
this,
true. It's true.
Literally got me so heated. I had to start a whole fucking blog to get my stream of consciousness thoughts out. And I called the blog Daebak, and here we are. Like it's transformed. Right. Bride of Habeck is awful. Nam Joo-hyuk should be ashamed to have that on his filmography.
It's so bad. It's
awful.
So bad.
It's probably one of the worst shows I've ever seen. Doona with Bae Suzy and Yang Seo-jeon.
Never watched it.
I agree.
Never watched it.
Lord have mercy. I was like, I am burning my time. I
finished it because we recorded a podcast episode on it. Otherwise,
there's a Daebak recording on it. And it's one of my top performing episodes. And I can't believe it. Like, I'm like, why? People want to hear about Doona. And I'm like, we roast it. Anyway, people seem to like it.
I still adore the fact that who was on there with us?
It was Sammy from BL Buddies. Yeah.
Sammy started off really loving the show, and by the end she's like, why do I even like this show?
I've got Abyss on here with Park Bo-young and Ahn Hyo-suk.
Yes.
Ladies.
What a waste of Park Bo-young. What a waste.
I think it aged me. I truly think Abyss aged me. It's such a problematic concept.
Yeah, I dropped to that one.
Missing 9. Do you? Did either of you?
I haven't even watched it.
I
haven't even watched it.
Don't watch it.
I'm so glad I never watched it.
Oh my god, the plane crash thing, and it was like a lost scenario, and I thought, oh, it's gonna be so good. I regretted it. I regretted every minute. This is controversial. Vincenzo.
I have never seen
Vincenzo.
I knew it wasn't a drama for me. I didn't even try.
The more that I think back on it, the more I'm like, bro, this show wasn't shit. Shit. Like it was wasting a mafia plot. I mean, you've watched Sopranos. Like it really?
Yeah.
Please. Yeah. Please. She would never know with Rowoon. Rowoon does not have a good track record with me. If Rowoon's in a show, I'm like, okay, we'll see. Because she would never know was actually like nails on a chalkboard to me. I am not one for office romance. This was an office romance. I was like,
it was.
Then it was, he was kind of creeping on her. Creepy. It didn't work for me. I hate the female lead. She's also the female lead in
Melting Me Softly,
Rain or Shine, Just Between Lovers.
Yeah. She's also Melting Me
Hated
Softly
her in that.
Ji Chang-wook.
Yeah.
She said it.
Could not. She didn't carry anything. I was like, this show is dragging. Hated it. And especially that one had McDonald's product placement. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. I couldn't handle it. She was especially heinous because at one point she's going to leave the country to go work at another branch of their company. And I was like, okay, great. He's like, I'm going to take us out. They're going to go out on a date and everything. She's imminently going to leave the country. And their date includes going to McDonald's. And I was like, it sent me into orbit. I was like, oh, you have to be kidding, to put the product placement right before she leaves to go out of the country. Like this is date night. I couldn't recover from it. And then Snowdrop with Jisoo.
Never watched
that one.
And Jonghyun.
Never watched it.
Oh, that episode of Daebak is actually really great. I've had multiple people be like, thank you so much for covering Snowdrop, because I was on the fence about finishing it. And we did the hard work. We did the hard work of watching it all the way through and then talking about it. And just that show, it had a lot of potential, but god damn, it was just the execution and what they chose to focus on. And oh my god, it was awful. It's awful. It was tragic. It was all the things. Just no point. At no point did I think this is a good idea.
Right.
And there's more where that came from, but I'll stop there.
First one on my list, Cheese in the Trap.
Ooh, girl. You know what it is? Cheese in the Trap, I don't regret watching it.
Oh, I do.
And that's why it's not on my list. But it's a bad show. Don't get me wrong. It's not a good show.
Yeah, I just did not like it. I don't know. There was a lot of bad things about it. And do you know what? It is. Oh, yeah. It's Kim Go-eun again.
It's Kim Go-eun.
I don't know what it is. I feel like, yes, people say she's a really great actress. But I feel like every show I've watched of hers, the only one I finished is Yumi Cells, and that's it. And I liked the animations better than the actual.
Oh, no.
Sacrilege.
Oh,
I know.
Man.
So, Cheese in the Trap, I just think the plot itself was a hot mess.
That one had a lot of problems behind the scenes. Do you know the history of
that? No. What happened?
So this one, okay, so this is an adaptation of a webtoon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, no, I do. It was because they finished filming before the webtoon finished.
Exactly.
Wasn't it something along those lines?
Yes, the webtoon wasn't done. And so they were kind of like making things up to try and work out an ending where there was no ending yet for the webtoon. And the male lead on the show, first of all, the writing wasn't good. Like, bar none, the writing on Cheese in the Trap wasn't that great. And the male lead on that show, I can't remember his name, but he expressed that publicly. He said, like, I don't really, he was a fan of the webtoon. And he said, I don't really like how the plot is going, like how the writing is on the show. And the screenwriter took and wrote him out of the show.
Damn.
Bloody hell.
Damn.
Which is why the latter episodes,
right.
He's gone.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone, yeah. He's barely
gone.
ever there.
You're like, where's the male lead? Gone. And so that major drama, like that's a huge like drama behind the scenes that happened. And that's why the second male lead like takes front and center in the latter half of the show.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense. It literally, the ending on that show is just atrocious.
It's a hot mess. They styled them really. I don't think the styling on this show is
it's bad. Like her hair with the
bad.
Red curly,
the reddish curly frizzy.
She's supposed to match the webtoon, but I'm like, not everything needs to
exactly
match one for one.
Cheese in the Trap. The next one is a Chinese drama called Be Together. Oh my god. This is the drama I think that made me think about my life choices. And the only reason I finished it was because a bunch of us who were watching it on the original, not the Tea and Soju, this was before Tea and Soju, on the original Discord server that I had, and we were all hate watching it together by the end. It was a hate watch. It was like
hate watch, group watch.
And I don't like hate watch anymore. If I don't like it, I drop it. But at that point, because all of us were in it, we were just hating on this show every single episode. It was so bad. The characters were ridiculous. They were meant to be really good friends, but they backstabbed each other constantly. And then the writers still wanted you to believe that they were all really good friends. The main couple that was meant to be center of this show, that is the poster and whatnot, just seem to be forgotten and are just meh most of the time. It was horrendous. This is the show. It's Sun Yi and Zhang Binbin. So it's them as the main couple, and I hated it. So the next one I have is Yuri Dano Kandano, which is like a Japanese drama. It is 2 girls. It's a GL. So is it? I don't know if it is, because they are sold as friends, and it was really toxic. Like, not the good toxic that I like to watch. It was like
not the good toxic.
It was just like, you know, the story of Kuning Palace, that's toxic, but I love to watch that. I will eat that crap up. But this, it was like worryingly toxic. It was really just horrendous. I gave it a 2.5. It is like my lowest rated drama ever. Next up is Cute Programmer. I hated it. Hated this show. Becky hates this show. Like, the two of us have had several discussions just crapping on this show, especially because this show is always all over TikTok. And it's like, why? It's the same. It's equivalent to like Falling Into Your Smile. Everybody adores Falling Into Your Smile,
or Love
but it's like,
yeah,
exactly. But it's like, dude, Falling Into Your Smile was plagiarized from somebody else's life without even being asked, and it was bad. Like, this, Falling Into Your Smile has one of the lowest ratings ever on Douban. So just put Cute Programmer. I hated it. The guy was just horrible. His character was horrendous throughout the whole thing. Like, this girl supposedly had a miscarriage or something along those lines, and he bullied her. And it's like, that's I can't. He is one of the worst characters I have ever come across. And the last one I have is How Are You, Bred? Bizarre. I watched it. It's kind of like a mini Korean drama, and it stars Lee Se-young and Suho from EXO.
Another EXO guy.
I remember that drama. Yeah.
Guys, the thing is, it wasn't that bad for a mini drama, but it just kind of like literally stops mid-sentence almost, and then that's it. That's the ending. And I'm like, it made me regret it, but it's really one of those mini dramas where Lee Se-young is blonde in that drama, and I had never seen her. So it's kind of like, it's a look. It's definitely a look. So yeah, that's my last one on there.
I had two more that I need to say. It's Love Alarm and Well Intended Love, the C drama. I had to.
Oh my god, Well Intended Love is so toxic. It's so toxic. I mean, this guy makes her think she's
dying of cancer.
She's dying.
He lies to her.
So he basically lies to her, makes her think she has cancer so that he can help her. And I'm like, this is just approach her and say hello.
It was giving me hives. I was like, so this is, I can't. And I finished it. And I was so mad.
Season 2.
And then when they released the season 2, I was gagged. I couldn't believe it.
I can't.
Yeah.
Because basically season 2 is basically the same reiterating, but she finds out very quickly what he's done. So it's like, it's bonkers. I finished that one as well. I don't know why, but I did. And see, that's one that also comes up quite regularly on TikTok. And I'm like, dude, and I'm like, why?
Do they know? Do they know? Yeah.
The thing is, like, a lot of the time, I've come to a point where I can't follow. There is not a lot of people on TikTok that I can follow for Chinese recommendations because the crap that they recommend. And I say that with the most lovingly tone, but the crap they recommend is just like, I can't even, like, I can't in good conscience recommend something like Well Intended Love. Like,
I would never.
I'm sorry, but I can't. So yeah. And it's the same thing with Falling Into Your Smile. That's one of the biggest Chinese dramas on TikTok. And I'm like, the female lead is a woodblock throughout the whole drama.
A woodblock.
It's Shu Kai. It's Shu Kai playing the same Shu Kai character that he often plays, rich, stoic character. And I'm like, dude, come on. So if somebody on TikTok recommends either of those to me, I immediately
write them all
we're not
off.
Gonna get on. Yeah, we're not gonna get on. So
all right, last question in our thing.
Dramas we know aren't good, but we still love them. And why? So my list is very short. I only put 3 on there. It's very quick.
Good. Yeah, okay.
So mine goes, and they all have the same reasons of why I like them. So I'm just going to go through the list and then I'll explain. Maid's Revenge.
Oh, I have that on mine too.
My Lethal Men.
These are all the same. Wait. This is a very specific genre.
Wait, no, the last one is not.
Okay.
The last one is Master Devil Do Not Kiss Me. That's like a youth drama. It's not very well known. I don't think it's that well known. It's kind of like it reminds me a little bit of Airs almost, but not quite. Yeah, but not quite. The storyline is he's rich, she goes to this school, and basically she's a scholarship kid, and she ends up having to live at his house. It's kind of like that story. Now, why do I like these? Are they good? No. Realistically speaking, they are not good dramas. But what they are is A, they are very entertaining, and two, they are like cracktastic in the sense that they just keep you watching the next episode. And they are complete shut your brain off, entertainment where my brain doesn't have to function one single bit to watch these shows.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that to me is why it's kind of like, those type of dramas where they are realistically speaking not great shows, but I still like to watch them because they are pure, all-encompassing, brain switching off entertainment.
Right. Right.
That's me.
Okay. Caitlin?
Mine are kind of also like split into some categories. I have a couple in what Liliana just said. Provoke is another one of those like short.
Oh yeah, I've watched that one. Yeah,
dramas that are like somewhat toxic and like not very good in terms of kosher. Same going along that line too is I watched one called Romance with Blind Master.
Oh yeah.
Entertaining. It's not that bad. I thought it actually would be really bad, and I clicked on it to watch a bad drama. Really surprised me and was not that bad. It's also one of those short 12, 13, 20-minute episode drama, whatever. Miss Gu Who Is Silent is a Chinese drama. It's a mystery drama, and it's one of those dramas where like it's better than you thought it would be. Has like nobody in the cast that anybody knows. It's one of those like under the radar. You would have to really know an actor or actress or be watching Chinese dramas for a very long time to recognize anybody in it. And it's about a woman who I want to say her sister dies or her twin dies, and she takes up the identity of her sister and goes and gets revenge and then meets this guy on the way. Their chemistry, these two leads' chemistry is surprisingly good, like really, really good. And it's a crime revenge drama. Mm-hmm. Love that. The other two I specifically put on this because they are mahjong crazy dramas, and I pretty much love them because of the online discussion that was happening during the time. And that is The Last Empress and Mouse.
You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me, Smalls.
Mouse is not a good crime drama. Did I still enjoy my time watching it? Absolutely. Mostly because it makes no sense and is one of those that like had episodes aired, like added, and like the script was changed, and it's like 20 something episodes, I want to say. And it's just like made no sense when it came to crime dramas whatsoever. But I had a lot of fun watching it. And same with Last Empress. It was just like bonkers Last Empress mahjong show that made no sense whatsoever, but it's just a lot of fun, especially if you were watching it at the time that it was airing.
Okay, so for me, I split these up in their weird splits. I don't even know how to describe them, but they seem to go together. There are two shows that I watched, enjoyed, and then was shocked that people didn't enjoy it, that people hated these shows. Okay. Here are the two shows. Imitation, which is a
Imitation.
Yeah. Imitation is a K-pop esque show. It's a musical K-drama and has a lot of idols in it, but it's actually good. Shocked that people hated it. And then the other one is Tempted. Do you guys know that
Oh,
one?
the one with
Tempted is like a guilty pleasure.
That one, yeah. I watched it again in a vacuum. I don't know what people were watching, if people were watching it or not. And I had my qualms with it. I remember writing my review and going, this is the problem with it. This is the problem with it. It was toxic. It went off the rails with parental side plot. This part here and this, that, and the other. Like, I picked it apart, but I knew what I liked about it. And I still found it addicting. Like, I watched it easily. You know what I'm saying? And I thought they had, him and Joy had really good chemistry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then I went and looked online after I wrote my review, my blog review.
Everybody hates it.
And everybody and their mom hated it. And I was like, oh my God, how can they hate this? I was shocked to my core. So is it good? Now I'm confused because I know what I know. It had issues. It wasn't perfect. I didn't rate it a 5 out of 5, obviously, but I didn't think it deserved that much slander. I was like, hate is too strong of a word, I think, because I really enjoyed it. And now I have to classify it as a guilty pleasure because everybody hates it.
Yeah.
I was like, that's unfair. Mm-hmm. Another one that I really liked, despite it having issues with writing in the last 8 episodes, is W, Two Worlds Apart. I'm sorry. I love that show. Like, to this day, like, in my core, I love that show.
Was that the one with
Han Hyo-joo? She goes in. Yes, she goes into the comic.
I really liked that one.
Yes, I remember watching it as it aired in the year of our Lord 2016, and I still remember feeling, ooh, that ending a little wonky. And then and then I rewatched it for the pod for Taebak and was like, ooh, yeah, I know exactly where it went wrong. And it was clunky, and the writing in the last half was like, didn't know where it wanted to go. It lost the plot basically in the last half. But look, despite all that, I freaking love it.
I did.
I'm sorry, I love it. And then there's 2 shows that's like, I can turn off my brain and just experience the tropey goodness of these shows. So I Married an Anti-Fan.
I love that one.
Love the show. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I love
that show so much.
Yes, and Cinderella and the Four Knights.
I've never watched that one.
Okay, yeah. And then these shows are old. These are vintage shows. These 3 shows are vintage, pre-2015, Avi. And people might find them cringy. People might find them too dated, whatever. I don't care. I love them. I think that these shows have their issues, and I can point them. I'm the first one to point them out to you. I don't give a shit. I love these shows. I love them still. It's Kung, aka Princess Hours, Full House with Rain and Song Hye Kyo, and Autumn's Concerto, for the Taiwanese drama. Those 3, girl. I can't get it. I love those shows. I don't care. I love them. So for various reasons, I just ignore the haters, and I love them.
There's always going to be those shows that just speak to you specifically on a level that isn't, gonna click with anybody else. And that's totally fine. I mean, I always say, look, if we all enjoyed the same things, it would be so boring. It would be
the thing is, those 3, boring. The last 3 that I mentioned, they were runaway hits.
Yeah.
Those are classic shows and runaway hits. I 100% think everyone should watch them at some point. But the vast majority of people that watch them today hate them or think they're dated have, like, they.
I mean, those 3 dramas are those 3 dramas are the reason why we have dramas around the world at this
exactly
point. Like,
they're they're Hallyu wave and like Hallyu Asian wave, drama wave dramas.
Absolutely.
But I love them,
and they got that popular in a time that like streaming didn't exist.
Exactly,
like they were popular, and what blows everything out of the water is they got popular through a means that streaming did not exist, which was untold of when that happened.
At the time. Yep.
Right. I think that's it, guys. I think we've done all.
Oh, we're not talking about binged or rewatched?
Oh, I completely forgot about that. I didn't even
I made a
put
list
that
for both of those.
Oh, I mean, we can go through them. I don't rewatch, so that's very quick for me to answer. I don't rewatch.
I rewatch for the podcast. Do you know what? No, mentira, because I just rewatched the other day. And this was completely of my own volition. I didn't cover it on the podcast. I didn't even talk about it. I rewatched Unrequited Love from 2019.
I love Unrequited Love. I love that drama so much.
As soon as I put it on, like my whole body just relaxed.
Yeah.
It's
such good drama.
Oh my gosh, I love that show. I love that show. So Unrequited Love, I rewatched just this year. I don't know how I managed to do it with my crazy whack schedule, but I did it. And then I just rewatched things for the podcast that I want to.
Actually,
season 5, I want to rewatch it. For the previous seasons, I was making myself rewatch things.
Yeah. I have actually rewatched 2 dramas, and both of them were for the podcast. One was for yours, Jess, so I rewatched The Untamed. And then the second one was Go Ahead, that I rewatched to do a podcast episode with Lola. But even then, even when I do like a full rewatch, I don't rewatch the whole thing, or I'll speed it up in some points. Like it doesn't.
No. Like for Unrequited, it was just raw. I just did the whole thing.
For me, it's like at that point I've watched it and I'm good. And also I have this fear. So for example, we've talked about watching Ashes of Love. I have this fear of it not being as good as it is in my mind. So I kind of don't want my shows to lose that shine for me. And that's one of the big reasons that I don't necessarily like to rewatch, because especially dramas that I watched, 6 years ago, if I were to watch them now, I don't think I would enjoy half of them as much as I did back then. But like I said, I already know the sort of plot. I completely forgot about that part of the question. Caitlin, you have lists for that. So go ahead.
I'm kind of the same way. I rarely rewatch, but I have now started to rewatch, do the podcast episodes for the most part. The only times I've ever rewatched is if like a season 2 is being made or a season 3. And I haven't, like, my most recent rewatch, which I ended yesterday, was season 1 of The Player, because that I watched that in 2019, and they just started season 2. So I had not watched that since 6 years ago. So I'm like, I remember like parts of it, but not all of it. So I'm going to rewatch season 1 before I start season 2. Like I rewatched Kingdom multiple times because they've had multiple seasons come out or whatever. The only 2 dramas I've rewatched multiple times, like all the way through more than once, is Stranger. Because I rewatched Stranger season 1 when Stranger season 2 came out, because that was a couple years in between. But then I also rewatched it due to your podcast, Jess. So I've rewatched season 1 of Stranger like 5 times at this point. Same with Goblin. I think I rewatched Goblin like 4 times. And then all the other ones like I've done for podcasts. I've done Reset. I rewatched Eternal. 10 Miles of Peach Blossom. We rewatched Flower of Evil. I rewatched for a podcast episode.
Happiness.
Yeah. Happiness While You Were Sleeping, I also did for podcast episodes. So unless it's for a podcast episode, or unless like I'm rewatching because I don't remember it and another season's coming out, I don't usually rewatch. I'll look up a random scene that I want to watch versus the entire drama. So, but I definitely have started rewatching more recently in the last couple of years than I ever did before. I usually never rewatched anything. So
you just reminded me, I also rewatched Reset because we did that review with Becky for the Tea and Soju. So I did rewatch that. For binged dramas, now this can be any show. Yeah, this can literally be any show from the first sort of year that I watched, because I would sit and binge. But I probably will say again, my most prolific binge was Ashes of Love because I woke up, I stayed up until like 7 o'clock in the morning watching it. I went to bed for 3 hours. I got back up and I watched through again. So I think that's probably the one that I binged like the hardest. Strong Girl, Bong Soon was also one that I really binged. But literally any of my early dramas, they would have all been binged watch because I wouldn't really watch that much during the week. I would watch at the weekend when I was home. So that's me. But I think Ashes of Love is probably my biggest, quickest binge, so to speak.
I think I remember my Eternal Love binge. I was in my first apartment and I was in my bed and my TV was really small. And I was just in the darkness, like watching that shit like crazy.
Glued to the screen.
Glued to the screen.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
Do you have any more, Jess?
Oh God, no. Everything else is a blur. I'm telling you, each binge is like the True Blood binge, where it's like,
right.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, so I'm the opposite. I don't binge much stuff, so I have I can make a list. So like 10 Miles, definitely. That was like after Goblin. I binged it right after Goblin when I got drama fever because I never had access to it.
Was kept at arm's length with Goblin because I was watching it as it was airing. So I was there each week or whatever, waiting for episodes. Right.
And like Goblin, I did binge, as I said earlier in the episode, because I was only going to have it for 4 days and then I was going to dump it. And then I liked drama fever so much. Let's see. While You Were Sleeping, I binged the hell out of because it was the first drama I watched after I got out of the Peace Corps after not having dramas for 2.5 years. So I was like, oh my God, what is this shit?
What is this shit?
So I watched that in like 2 days. Till the End of the Moon because I had to finish it for our
Till the End of the Moon. Yeah, we made you binge it, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. To be fair, nowadays, if she binges something, I half guess not all of the time, but there's a fair shot that she's going to be watching with us and we've put a timeline on it.
Yes. Yes. Pretty much.
There's a recording date in mind.
Nowadays, there's a recording date. Yeah. The other couple I binged because like Cherry Magic, for example, I binged, but that was because I found it on a random blog person's site who was like subbing it.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those things where I was like, I need to watch it and binge it before it disappears because it took forever for me to get access to this thing because I didn't have Crunchyroll at the time. So I binged that. Green Door, the Taiwanese drama on Netflix, I watched it in a single sitting. It blew my mind. It was only 6 episodes, but it blew my mind. And I was like, I can't stop watching this shit. So that's a crazy ass Taiwanese drama. And I absolutely loved it. My last one will probably surprise a lot of people. I binged the hell out of the Heart Signal variety shows in the Korean and the Chinese version.
Yeah.
I binged all of them. All the seasons. I have not watched the most recent seasons, but it's Korea has 6 or 7 seasons of this show. I binged the first 4 seasons in a week. And it's an hour and a half episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say variety shows are long.
And same with the Chinese version. I found out later the Chinese made a version of this show. And again, I found all the seasons I could at the time, which I think was 3 or 4 seasons. And I binged the hell out of those as well, which is so out of character for me because this is straight up a romance variety show. This is straight up, we're going to have couples by the end of this. And I binged the hell out of it. I remember I ate popcorn for dinner for a week binging this.
Oh my gosh.
I made popcorn. I got off work, made popcorn, drank soda, and then also had wine at the end of the week because of the end of the work week because I don't drink usually during the week. But I had my little setup and I turned all the lights off and I binged it. And that was how I binged 4 seasons.
That's a true binge. That is binge.
I was hooked. I was so surprised I was hooked on this variety show. But yeah, that's what I thought of.
Right. I think now that's it. Any other comments, guys?
No, I think we left it all
I
on
think
the
we're
dance
good.
floor. Yeah.
I think we did. I mean, we're 4 hours on the dot right now. Just a heads up. I'm going to have a lot of fun editing this, aren't I?
Well, you can knock an hour off of that. That hour is a Patreon.
Yeah. Well, probably more like an hour and a half. It is a long episode, guys.
Yeah.
If you're still with us by the end of this, I hope you guys have enjoyed this more sort of informal, just us chatting episode. And that is it. I shall see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.